everyone. We're starting the meeting. This is going to have a statement that I have to make every meeting. So please, can you hear me over there? Okay. The statement, in accordance with the provisions of Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10-4-6 PL 1975 C231 S, amended 2006 C70 S2, the Asbury Park Board of Education has provided adequate notice of this meeting by sending a notice of the time and date, location to the extent known, the agenda of this meeting to the Asbury Park Press, the New Coaster, on January 3rd, 2025, via email. Copies of this notice have also been placed at the Administrative Bulletin Board, districts, schools, Asbury Park Municipal Buildings, Asbury Park Police Department, and filed with the City Clerk on January 3rd. The mission of the Asbury Park School District is to provide all students with a comprehensive and progressive education where everyone possesses the skills and character to succeed in a diverse, evolved global society. Roll call.
Ms. Ackerman?
Here.
Ms. Clark?
Here.
Mr. Grillo? Mr. LaRocca?
Here.
Ms. Lucinski?
Here.
Dr. Penna?
Here.
Ms. Ricks?
Here.
Ms. Glassman?
Here.
Mr. Rogers?
Here.
Thank you. I got a text from Mr. Grillo. He would like to know if he can log on virtually.
Mr. Grillo has a previous work engagement, but he wants to be engaged because of the conversation that's going to go on with the board meeting. And I want to get a roll call as to whether we can accept him on for this meeting. Also, our attorney will be here soon. He's also coming from Camden. So he would actually like to be brought on. So can I get a roll call?
Well, the attorney was what?
He's in his car. He's coming from Camden.
Just got out of here.
Remotely, he's on his way up.
Yes, if we need him. He's
Right.
just got out of court. The judge just released him.
Yeah.
So you said Mr. Grillo is tied up at work?
He's at a function working, but he also would like to be on because of the nature of some of the discussions we're gonna have with the budget. So, Wendy, can you make a motion?
Yeah.
Motion to approve
Make a motion for Mr. Grillo to attend via telephone and also for Mr. Weiss.
Get a second.
Second.
Roll call.
So I have Ms. Glassman and Ms. Ackerman.
Yes.
Ms. Ackerman?
Yes.
Ms. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Grillo? Wait, sorry. Mr. LaRocca?
Yes.
Ms. Lucinski? Dr. Penna?
Yes.
Ms. Ricks?
Yes.
Ms. Glassman?
Yes.
And Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Thank you. We need a flag salute. Flag salute.
We're gonna start the meeting with the presentation from the superintendent. Hold on. The state monitor wants to have an opening statement.
Mr. Rogers, just so everyone knows, I'm on.
Okay.
So thank you.
We're going to do staff and student.
Okay. Yeah.
You good?
Yeah.
Okay, at this time, we're going to start calling our principals up. We do our staff and students of the month. We're going to start with Thurgood Marshall, Ms. Zakia Delorme. Really?
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. I would like to first start off, my name is Mrs. Zakia Delorbe, and I'm the building principal of Thurgood Marshall Elementary School. And I would like to first start off with my student of the month. My student of the month is Grayson Morales. Mr. Morales, can you come to the front, please? I met Grayson at the very beginning of the school year. He had some concerns that he wasn't too shy to tell me about. We worked out solutions together, which ended up being a perfect fit for him. Now here he is today being named Student of the Month. His teachers say that Grayson is a model citizen. He's an amazing friend. He is always ready to lend a helping hand. And overall, he is a hard worker. Grayson, I'd like to congratulate you on being named Thurgood Marshall Elementary Student of the Month. Mom, if you can come up, please. Mom, come up, please.
Good job. Good job. Come on, right in the center. There you go.
Next, I would like to present to you Thurgood Marshall Elementary's Staff Member of the Month. Miss Tiara Hamilton, can you come up, please? Miss Tiara Hamilton always goes above and beyond for staff and students alike. Whenever Tiara is volunteered to do something, she always does it with a smile.
Go over so she can get in the center.
I'm sorry. When Miss Tiara Hamilton is volunteered to do something, she always does it with a smile. She serves on multiple committees for the betterment of the school community. Her bubbly personality is absolutely contagious. Tiara, I'm so proud to work alongside of you, and congratulations on being named Thurgood Marshall Elementary Student Staff of the Month.
Do you have anybody with you?
Thank you.
That's it? Nobody else? Okay.
At this time, I'd like to call Dr. Lauren Scholes, the Bradley Elementary School.
Yes, you got it, thank you. Yeah, I need the student first, Anaya. Yep, right here. She's in.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Dr. Schultz, proud principal of the Bradley Elementary, and tonight we are delighted to have our Student and Staff of the Month for March. We will start with our Student of the Month. This young lady is a third grade student in Miss Pinnock's class that embodies everything we look for in a model student here at Bradley. To say she is a ray of sunshine is an understatement. Her smile brightens any room. She is so kind and helping. She is just such a gentle, pure soul. When she was announced as Student of the Month, she started crying and said, "I'm just so happy to have this." And we could see that right now. She was nominated by Mrs. Murphy from our main office staff, and she is joined tonight by her wonderful mom and her older sister who just graduated Asbury Park High School last year and is a student at Monmouth University. Miss Anaya Shane, please come up to us and get your well-deserved award, sweetheart. Mom and sister, please come up as well.
Hey, Mom.
She's so sweet, absolutely. And then stand right here for a picture, okay?
It's your day. Come on.
I'm a bit,
Congratulations, Anaya. Well deserved. And tonight for our Staff of the Month, The educator in our building that received the most amount of votes from our building staff this evening was Mrs. Dorothy Bowles, a 5th grade ELA and social studies teacher. Ms. Bowles could not be with us tonight. She was actually just at Thurgood Marshall supporting several students from her class in Sodexo's Future Chefs competition, and Bradley students took it. So we are very, very excited for that, and we also appreciate Mrs. Bowles' volunteerism with promoting the culinary arts with her students. Ms. Bowles, if you're watching, we appreciate you very much. Congratulations. Thank you, everyone.
Now I'd like to call Mr. Kenny Monker up from the middle school, okay?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mr. Monker. I'm the principal of the Martin Luther King Jr. Middle School. Just a pleasure to be before you this evening. We're going to start off with our athlete of the month. Her coach could not be here today, but her coach typed me a letter for me to read to the audience before we call her up. From Coach Miller. It has been my pleasure to coach and teach Samaya over the last year. This year, Samaya joined my basketball team after the school not having a team last year. She has been an integral part of the team's success this season as we rebuild our team, our middle school sports team at the Asbury Park Middle School. She is very disciplined as an athlete. She has great work ethic. She is an exceptional, self-developed basketball player with skill sets on the court. And most importantly, a great team player and teammate. She is a leader on and off the court. She stands as a positive influence on her teammates to make her teammates make good decisions. I have watched her working hard, encouraging others, as well as striving for excellence on the field, off the field, and in the classroom. Samaya is a talented young lady with incredible athletic ability, a great drive for excellence in her skills, and always puts in an extra effort to continuously improve her skills. For this reason, I cannot imagine another winter sport athlete receiving the honor of Athlete of the Month of March. So without any further ado, let's welcome Samaya Tyler as Athlete of the Month. Come on, family, come on up. If you're going to take a picture.
Come on up, come right in the middle.
Come on, family. Our next student of the month, written by her teacher, Kinsia Lazari is a bright and determined 13-year-old student from Haiti. She moved to the United States and currently is in the 7th grade, where she is a dedicated, hard-working member of her class. Adjusting to a new country and a new system, she embraces all the challenges and shows resilience and a positive attitude each and every day in school. Kinsia enjoys learning new things, making friends, and sharing her Haitian culture with others. She is passionate about science and dreams of becoming a doctor one day. She is also an honor roll student for all of the quarters so far. With her determination and kindness, she is sure to achieve great things in the future. At this time, Kinsia Lazari, please come on up. I thought I saw her earlier, she's not here, but we'll give her her award tomorrow in school. Our last person is our staff member of the month. This person, I can truly say, has been an asset to me all year long. First of all, she sits on the PBSIS committee that she chairs. She has probably logged in close to 20 hours of PBSIS time to get our building up and running with social emotional leadership skills and to brand ourselves as leaders. She also teaches social studies, and she is also a certificate to work with our students with disabilities. I had the pleasure of sitting in her classroom today to co-observe an awesome lesson, and it's just no reason why I believe that she should not receive this award because she showcases talent both as a leader, but more importantly, she sits on the school leadership committee and helps drive the leadership at the school, at the middle school level. It has a very soft-spoken voice, but the students love her. At this time, we will introduce the son and honor Mrs. Allison Hoffman as our teacher staff member of the year. Come on up. Of the month.
And now I'd like to call Dr. Perry Medina to represent the high school.
All right, good evening. My name is Perry Medina. I'm going to reverse the order because the students of the month, it's a large group and I'll have to meet them in the hallway to pass out bags. So we're going to start with our teachers. Our teachers, they're co-honorees this month, and I'd like to bring them up and say good words while they're standing right next to me. So Miss Elgar and Miss Golden, please come up. You know, the mark of a good teacher, one of the marks of a good teacher is the ability to inspire others. And one of the things they do extremely well is inspire their peers, their colleagues, and myself. So when I am down, and they don't know this, when I feel a little discombobulated, I just speak with them. I'll catch them in the hallway. I'll watch how they work, and it really, truly realigns me. Our ecosystem of electives and core content areas is only made possible with teachers like these. Their ability to go above and beyond creating silent films with students who have never done films in their lives speaks to the passion and dedication and the following they have. So when we are up, when we are down, I often say, let's charge the spirits of each other. And the spirits of Miss Elgar and Miss Golden are as high as they can be. So thank you, ladies, for being excellent. And moving on to our students of the month, is Lizbeth here? Lizbeth? Okay, thank you, Ms. Daniels. So from our athletic coordinator and her coaches, Lizbeth is our student athlete of the month. She's a 3-sport star in soccer, basketball, and track. She is in our Dream Academy program and boasts a GPA of 3.7 and is ranked in the top 10 of her class. Lizbeth is charismatic, has an exceptional personality, and her work ethic worked to separate her from her peers and put her in position to be extremely promising in her future. So we'd like to honor Lizbeth and congratulate her on this award. And for our next students of the month, if some of you were here last month or happen to have a chance to review the board video from before, and big shout out to Ms. Daniels who is here to my left, our students this year, Dream students this year, beat the state average in the ELA and JSLA assessment by 30 points. So I'd like to call up all of our Dream students. Let's pack the floor on the stage. Dream 9 students, come on up. Don't be shy, come on up. I spoke with you in the hall, you know what was going on. Come on up, show your faces. Come on in, my man John. So, what I like to say here, and I spoke about teachers and how they inspire people and what we should aspire to be. And to all the students who received awards tonight, the students watching from home, and to the parents who have children in the other schools, this is the culmination of a lot of effort from great teachers such as Ms. Daniels, Ms. Elgard, Ms. Golden, and this is the fruit of our labor. These young ladies and young men have truly been a remarkable story, and we all should be proud for the work that they have put in. That is a clap moment. It is very easy today in 2025 to be distracted by technology, to be distracted by news, to be distracted by outside influences totally out of their control. And despite all of that, they're able to hit the books, listen to what their teachers have to say, and beat the state average by 30 points. Guys, that's not something I did as a kid. So you guys and your trajectory, you are on to beautiful and great things. And congratulations to our former graduate who was in Monmouth County, because this is the system, this is the school system that we have and the students that we can produce. So you inspire me. It is my honor and pleasure to introduce you to the rest of the community. Good job, Dream 9. Good job, guys. Meet me all.
Hi.
No, go ahead. This for the.
At this time, I'd like to call up the building principals. You can all come up together, yeah. Do presentations on their building updates.
Good evening once again, Mrs. Delaware Bay, Building Principal of Thurgood Marshall. Just want to share with you, we'll talk about student attendance, staff attendance, and just a couple of highlights that are happening at Thurgood Marshall Elementary School. Our theme for the year is Heroes in the Making. Our monthly report for the month of February, our student attendance was 87%, staff attendance rate 92%, enrollment 444 students. For the month of March, which is, as of March 25th, student attendance rate 89%, staff attendance rate 90%, the student enrollment up 446. A couple of the highlights that are happening at Thurgood Marshall. We are implementing UFLY, the University of Florida Literacy Institute. It is yielding positive results. We have introduced UFLY where developmentally appropriate all the way down to pre-K. Student performance is trending up on phonological and phonemic awareness standards. Thurgood Marshall is already ahead of the upcoming universal literacy screening state mandate. They are going to require for every student in the state of New Jersey to be screened 2 times a year, grades K through 3. And I'm proud to say that Thurgood Marshall, we've already done 2 screenings already this year before the state mandate. And we have a very strong partnership with the Asbury Park Library. They are in heavy support of our literacy initiative and our registration events. We are holding workshops there where parents are coming, our students are doing walking trips to the library, and they are helping us with increasing the enrollment of the Asbury Park School District. So, thank you.
Good evening again, everyone. As you know, BES is going for the gold. So some statistics for the month of February. Our student attendance rate was at 90%. Our staff attendance rate was at 93%, and our enrollment was at 344 for our 3rd through 6th grade population. Moving into March, as Mrs. Delorbe said, this is a special note, March 1st through March 25th. Our student attendance rate is at 91%, staff attendance rate stays steady at 93%, and our enrollment has stayed steady since February at 344. And now some building highlights, my favorite thing to talk about. Bradley successfully completed WIDA and access testing for our 80 ELL and MLL students, special shout out to Ms. Vidal, Mrs. Parent-Donizal, and Mrs. Malone, our dynamic ELL bilingual team, for completing this huge task between February and March. WIDA access testing is very much a state mandated assessment, so it needs to be taken as seriously as high stakes measures like NJSLA, and they just knocked it out of the park with our students in completing that task. We also kicked off March as National Reading Month with multiple activities. Our Read Across America Day was held the first week. We had a record high of 56 volunteers. Thank you to the board members that came to support Mr. Grillo, Ms. Lazinski, and Mr. LaDeRocca. Your volunteerism and support for Bradley is appreciated. We held a Literacy Spirit Week, and thanks to a generous donation from Bridge of Books and board approval, we were able to do a student book giveaway to build at-home libraries with enriched text for all 3rd through 6th grade students. They each took home 2 books of their choice to kick off this month of literacy. We hosted our first ever math and literacy nights with such high attendance and support from the entire Bradley community, including students and families, also staff volunteers. Mr. Hamilton is in the audience. He was one of the staff volunteers, so thank you so much for that. We're looking forward to continuing those initiatives through our SIA funds. We've administered for the first time NJSLA infrastructure trials to prepare our students for the testing experience and environment for all 3 grades going into testing lockdown, and they were completed with success. We've also begun implementing a new, and I'm revealing it now for the first time, Peer Buddy Student Mentoring Program in recognition of April as Autism Awareness and Acceptance Month. Thank you to our OT, Ms. Gargiulio, and our multiple disabled teacher, Ms. Schatzman, for thinking of this idea. Our students in 5th and 6th grade classes are being paired with students in specialized settings, and they are partnering throughout the day and building a relationship and rapport with one another. And lastly, we have successfully submitted artwork and essays from students for the Monmouth County Law Day contest. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. It's Ms. Monker again to represent some of the data at Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. School for the month of February. Our student attendance rate, 93%, and we've been averaging 93% pretty much all year long. Our staff attendance rate, 90%. Same way, same thing. We've been at or above 90% for our staff attendance all year long. Our enrollment in February was at 196 students. March, student attendance increased to 94%. Our staff attendance, which is amazing, 95%. So it actually went higher, about 4 or 5%. And our enrollment, it went down 191, but we believe after the next couple of months that we should see an uptick with enrollment again. Some of the building highlights, and I'm especially so happy with this highlight. Our 8th grade science, both grade 7 and grade 8, participated in the Lincoln NJSLA baseline standards-based assessment. 7th graders saw somewhat about 96 science questions and open-ended questions. Our 8th grade had somewhere around 75 questions, and those students did very well in the science benchmark NJSLA prep to give us some data to compare with both our math and ELA data for Lincoln. So that's a very important piece because our 8th graders takes NJSLA science for the first time since 5th grade. So the expectation that we want to make sure our students are prepared. We saw growth in iReady Winter. We saw growth with Lincoln B math. When we compare Lincoln B this year, same students, versus Lincoln B last year, same students, we have an increase. And then last but not least, we saw an overall increase in both grade 6 and 7, which is our current 7th and 8th grade, with increases in math for proficiency scores across the board. We have math, ELA, science, grade 7 and 8 tutoring, which I believe will be that piece to help drive the needle of achievement for our NJSLA students. So our students receive 40 minutes of high-impact tutoring twice a week with those 3 content areas, with a focus on with a focus on bubble students. Those are students that are at just a little bit below or above proficiency to make sure we get them over the hump. And last but not least, 55 students just completed our WIDA assessment test in the 8th grade, and shout out to Ms. Florine and Ms. Russo for making that effort seem seamless because they've been testing since November. So at this time, those are the building highlights for MLK.
Thank you, Kenya. All right, Para Medina again, for the high school. In the month of February, our student attendance rate was 86, but you'll see in the next month that go up. You know, we were affected by, you know, the recent political landscape that may have scared some of our students, but you'll see in the next month's data, our attendance rate for students did go up. Our staff rate, a very respectable 93%, and our student enrollment in February was 380. Each percentage went up, you know, a little bit, but still significant. Student attendance rates went up to 89, staff attendance rate 94, and we gained 7 students over the month between February and March. All right, so we have a few bullet points here, and I'll, you know, try to cut to the chase, but we want to say congratulations to our student board representative, Robert Pennington, who received a full ride to Ohio University, along with being accepted to 18 other schools. Our AccuPlacer testing was completed at the high school with same-day results, and our participating students not only met the requirements, but also were able to use those results as second pathways towards meeting graduation requirements, effectively avoiding portfolios. We also began, credit to Ms. Chrissy Hayes Schneider, began our weekly video series, Week in Review, that you can find on our YouTube channel, and we post that on our IG. It is a student-led production, completely done by them, of course supported by our teaching staff, but it's one of the things that we're trying to do at the high school is create students who are able to produce media and have an opportunity, as you saw in our little slogan, access and opportunity, have opportunities into those fields. And also our great debaters team debated at the Tri-State Debate Tournament on Saturday, March 1st in New Rochelle, and 2 of our students went undefeated. Good job, guys. And finally, during the recent Monmouth Arts Teen Arts Festival, which is a pretty big exhibition, 4 students from the high school were selected to move on to future exhibitions in Freehold and the state. And as you can see, to finish, one of our students actually made it to the state level competition. So this is, you know, I'm particularly proud about this. There was a commitment, thank you. There was a commitment to the arts going into this school year. And we are seeing, the staff at the high school are seeing a direct connection between students' love for the arts, for performing, their attendance, and being able to perform better in their other classes. So, you know, at the high school, we're fully committed to teaching the whole child well-rounded, particularly in culture and arts, as we know those are the things that typically sustain and outlast political strife. So I'm very proud of this, and thank you.
We have Ms. Thea Byers. Oh. Okay. Oh, okay.
Yes, sir.
I just want to take a time. I just want to take the time out. The student that we honored earlier, that wasn't in place when we called her name, I just wanted to get a chance to call her up and have her mom and her come up, and I'm gonna just read briefly. Kensia is a bright and determined 13-year-old student from Haiti. She moved here from the United States, currently in the 7th grade. She has embraced all the challenges and resilience and has a positive attitude. She is a pleasure to have at MOK. She works hard. She has aspirations of becoming a doctor. She's an honor roll student since she landed here. It was her determination, kindness, and her true ability just to be a beautiful person inside and out. We believe that she will achieve great things in life. So at this time, we want Kensia's mother and Kensia to come up at this time, please. Thank you again.
Okay, good evening, everyone.
I just want to let you know that tonight's presentation is actually going to be in two parts because we kind of have to like back it up a little bit. So the first part of the presentation is the school self-assessment for determining grades under the Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights Act. This is from the 23-24 school year, so I just want to put that out there. As you can see, when we do this calculation, it's built on core elements. There are 9 elements that these scores are based on. The total average for the Asbury Park School District was 59. So, for example, the Asbury Park High School at that time, again, this is from the 23-24 school year, it was 48. MLK was 57, Bradley was 64, and Thurgood Marshall was 67. And so the average was 59. If we look at the trend in the average for the district, you see going across. In the year before, 22-23, it was at 68, but unfortunately, during the 23-24 school year, the whole year before, it went down to 59%. Now we're going to look at our HIB reports. During that time, you had 18 that were investigated, 8 were confirmed, and 10 were unfounded. And this gives the breakdown of that year. Again, this is from the 23-24 school year. Now, some of the explanations for not meeting or partially meeting, as you can see, board members, you have a copy of it in front of you. Some of them included the assessed HIB programs, approaches, or initiatives. Some of them, they were not assessed. Some of the school groups weren't assessed. The school safety team, they did not meet to review the policies and procedures. Other elements, the school employees are like contracted service volunteers that were provided. They weren't provided the HIP policy. The HIB policy wasn't discussed with students in accordance to the district during that time. No, they were not consistently discussed with the students. Another one was the school provided ongoing instruction about HIB accordance, and that was not always established. Also, keeping it going, again, the school safety committee was supposed to meet at least twice a year. That didn't happen in some buildings. And one of the big ones, the notification to parents about alleged HIB incidents weren't reported, and the completion of the investigation with the intended school days did not happen during that time. So, where are we going? Our HIB improvement plan. So when I tell you this is from the 23-24 school year, I am guaranteeing you next year is not going to be the same. So what are we doing? Each HIB specialist are providing ongoing appropriate instruction on preventing HIB and suicide. That's happening during the health classes right now. HIB specialists will create and implement an action plan for each item that was identified as not meeting or partially meeting requirements. I meet with the HIB specialist once a month and we go over these action plans. The acting director of student services will continue to monitor the HIB checklist tracker to ensure that the specialists are working on the items listed in the tracker. And then, of course, myself again, will work with the HIB specialists to ensure that the HIB programs, approaches, and other initiatives are assessed annually. So this is, again, from the 23, so that's what's our plan for what we're doing right now. Right now, we have our anti-bullying specialists, and just to let you know, I guess you definitely understand that our guidance counselors have changed. So our HIB specialists, we have for the high school, we have Beverly Groves. For MLK, we have Brian Hackett, and we have Ms. Joanne Major Phillips literally doing Bradley Elementary School and Thurgood Marshall, and we so appreciate it because she just jumped right in. And also, I can also say that Ms. Groves has volunteered to assist when necessary. So that's what's, that will conclude that. Now, we are going to move on to the SSDS report for the 24-25. Now, this is from this school year, the first reporting period. This is from September 2024 to December 24, right? This is in live time. This is going on now here in the Asbury Park School District. The explanation of the terms. We have the incidents that total include violence, vandalism, substances, weapons, and HIBs confirmed. Vandalism, that includes arson, computer damage, damage to school property, false public alarm, theft, trespassing. Violence includes an assault, a fight, kidnapping, we have to put that out there, sexual assault, a threat, simple or criminal, and others includes cutting class, leaving class, inappropriate conduct behavior, inappropriate lunch at lunch, and behavior or willful defiance. So, here we go. As a district, if we compare from before to now. We had incidents we had 11 incidents. We had 11 incidents at the high school. We had other 68. MLK had 5 incidents, 16 other. Bradley, 0 incidents, 2 other. And at Thurgood Marshall, none. So the totals were 16 and 86. So then we're going to break it down by the schools for each period. So if you can see right away, if we are comparing from 2023 to 2024, the period, we're just looking at the periods, we're doing apples to apples, the trend, the incidents have gone down 2 in the high school. For others, they have gone down 7 points, and HIV, none for the high school so thus far for the first cycle. For MLK, the trend, they have gone down 3. If we're comparing 3 for incidents, for others, they've gone down 4, HIV, none. The Bradley Elementary School, 0 incidents for the trends. For others, they've gone up 2, 0 HIVs. And then for Thurgood Marshall, they've gone down 1, they've gone down for incidents, they've gone down 1, others 1, and HIV 0. So if we look at the trend, what has happened over for the period one that we're looking at, we see that we've gone for incidents, it was 22, now for this time it's down to 16. It was at 47, 96, now it's at 86, and then HIV was 1, and now it is at 0, so thus far. So what does that mean? Moving forward, our plan of action, what's going to happen? We're going to continue to promote the progressive discipline with interventions in all of the school buildings. We're going to continue in-district and out-of-district professional development for our HIV specialists. We're going to continue to promote the PBSIS in all buildings because it's definitely working. Continue to implement the bullying prevention program in the health classes in all buildings. We have a transitional coach counseling at MLK and shared in the elementary school. Continue to teach rock program at MLK. Continue the Gear Up program at the high school at MLK. Continue the Yonder Pouches, which is a big initiative that's going on at the high school, MLK, and Bradley. It has made a big difference, as you can see. Continue Prevention First counseling services at the high school. Continue with community care partnerships. And then continue planning for the future student services rollout programs for the 25-26 school year, the Lifelines program, and the youth mental health first aid. And as always, do we have any questions before I even go? Questions? I think that when we updated the code of conduct, it has definitely helped a lot, promoting progressive discipline, responsive classes. The teachers are definitely taking a role in it, making sure that there's steps taken before a student gets suspended. There's things that the teachers and the staff have to do before it gets to that level. So we see that is definitely happening. Even the number of superintendent hearings have lessened because there's a lot that have to happen until that happens. So you have less students being put out, so that's going on in the district because of the code of conduct and things that we put in place for more restorative practice.
I want to thank you, Ms. Byers.
Yes, sir.
Because the moving forward action plan, I'm just looking at it, and some of the questions I would have had need to be covered. So
yes, sir.
These are the things that we're looking at, progressively changing the culture in these children's lives.
Yes.
Is that giving them options, and also the teachers and the structure be more inventive.
Yes.
Instead of putting a kid out or calling him disruptive.
Yes.
To actually be more productive in changing environments in the system, in the school district. So I want to thank you.
Yes, and the principals have been very instrumental in making sure they have positive things going on, events going on in their buildings. So each of the buildings are taking an active role in that and making sure that the students are active and doing positive things. So it does work. Any other questions, anyone? Okay.
Questions from the board?
Thank you, everybody.
Our next presentation will be from the superintendent. If you guys are going to take notes, take some notes, because this presentation is going to be pretty technical.
Do we have copies of the presentation?
Mr. Jubino.
Are there copies of the presentation?
The presentation I'm giving is a cut of what I presented to the board in closed session, and I just took some slides out to make it easier, or make it shorter for the public to hear. I worked on it with Mr. Tracy Rogers, Ms. Wendy Glassman, and Mr. Dominic Lataraka. We actually worked on it Monday for a couple hours. So here, before I get started with the presentation, there are a couple things I want to discuss that weren't discussed or bring up. We had Thurgood Marshall come up and talk about things that are going on in their building. I want it to be heard. And you need to know that the Department of Ed came to visit our early childhood department and our early childhood supervisor. And they were amazed at the progress and what we are doing with early literacy. And they said to the supervisor, just want to let you know, the state is moving in the same direction that you've already started moving in. We want to thank you, and we'd like to use you as a model school moving forward. That's what's happening in early childhood. For those that don't hear the good positives, yes, early childhood. Not only to mention is that the University of Florida. So we have a U-Fly program, University of Florida initiative that deals with literacy. Well, they heard about the good things that are going on here at Thurgood Marshall, and they were actually on a call today with the supervisor, Ms. Jackie Pillauer, asking her if they can come visit Thurgood Marshall and see what's going on, because I heard from the state that we are moving in a positive direction. So it's their program, they developed it, and we're utilizing it, and we're utilizing it very effectively. So I just wanted to make sure that is out there so people understand what is going on. Also, as you see, our staff, you look at attendance, our staff attendance has improved. I remember years when we worked here, staff attendance was in the 80s. It never hit 90. Okay? And that's a tribute to our building leadership and also the staff members that are working with each other to improve the climate and culture of the district. So we haven't had attendance like this in a very long time, and I know one school was unfortunately hit with a lot of leaves of absences, so their attendance would have been a lot higher. But everybody's back now, so attendance is going to increase. So great job, administration, great job, staff on that. We also, tonight, we had the Future Chefs of America took place at Thurgood Marshall Elementary tonight, and we had the elementary school K through 5 students there. They worked with chefs from Sodexo and created their own dishes. So we had steak and rice, we had steak with mashed potatoes and asparagus, we had pizza, we had meatballs stuffed with mozzarella, penne vodka, which they all presented to us, and they received their awards tonight. It was a great event. Parents showed up, and it was fantastic. And I see, the two principals over here smiling because they know it was a great event. This week we have Bernie Williams, an alumni of the New York Yankees. We're coming in to give our student athletes a free baseball clinic. So he'll be here this week. So I'm glad to announce that. And also, what needs to be noted is that preliminary testing, grades 3 through 9, have showed great improvement. 3 through 9, not just the 9th grade, which is fantastic, but 3 through 9. 3rd grade through 9th grade has shown significant improvement, and that needs to be noted. Because someone said to me the other day, well, we need to show improvement. There you go. We're showing improvement. Okay, and it's going to keep improving. So I just wanted to make sure that is out there so the public hears it and the board hears it. Okay, so now my presentation. As you know, we are facing a deficit. And we have to make decisions on where we're going with the district. Now, as we talk with some of the finance committee, so every option is on the table. I'm just throwing out options. It's up to the board to decide what they want to do. Okay, these are just suggestions, and I'm not telling you, everybody, this is what has to get done, but just suggestions. Okay, so let's go back a little and see what we've done in the district. Okay, we have reorganized this district. Okay, central office, we moved them, we got out of a lease, we moved them to MLK, saving us over $300,000. Thurgood Marshall pre-K is pre-K through second grade building now. So what I did was I took all the pre-K students, all the kindergarten, all the first, all the second, I put them all together, all the teachers together. It's the only way we're going to improve instruction within the district. Not doing that would be going backwards in the educational timeline. Bradley Elementary is now 3rd through 6th, and the middle school is 7th through 8th, and obviously the high school is still 9th through 12th. So building updates. So we established a pre-K through second grade building at TNES with major focus on early literacy, exceeding what the state is doing now, as I just said. They want to come see us and use us as a model school. So anybody who has questions about what's going on in early childhood, there you go. We created a 3rd through 6th grade building at Bradley. Test scores have shown significant improvement. Middle school moved to 7th and 8th grade. Again, test scores have shown significant improvement already. And we're only in this 6 months. New programs developed. We launched the 7th and 8th grade ERI program. That's an emotional regulation impairment program to reduce the out-of-district placements. So no longer are we sending students out, we're keeping them in. We launched the K-2 ERI program at TNES. So currently, as it stands right now, the ERI programs have saved the district $800,000 as we no longer need to send students out of district. We are currently receiving $180,000 in tuition from other districts that utilize us as a placement. We are currently waiting to receive another student, which will generate approximately another $90,000. This is a net total savings or income of $1.07 million, which helps with our deficit. Okay, we're conducting building walkthroughs to identify available space, because we do have to make some changes, and we know that. So the district footprint, we currently own 8 properties within the city. You got the ITC building, Dorothy McNish, Maintenance, High School, Thurgood Marshall, Bradley, and the Barack Obama building. Okay, and as if you know what the climate is around the state, you got school districts being forced to sell properties. So that is going to come down our way eventually. The state's going to come in, you need to sell properties. So we are in the process of selling the maintenance building. We're just waiting for all the specs to come out, and once they're all finalized, we will be moving forward probably within the next week and a half. Correct? Okay. We're also looking to consolidate the operations, looking to share a shared facility agreement with the city. That will be to be determined. Okay, we're looking to put some kind of structure at Barack Obama, depending on what we do, that will house our maintenance shop. So we sell the maintenance shop, we still need a place to put our equipment and our supplies. And then it will be a one-time startup cost. And we're looking at a pole barn on the Barack Obama field location, but there are other options too. That's just one option. We are looking at every option and trying to use the least expensive option that's out there, but also allow us to maintain what we have right now. So where do we go from here? So the state is forcing the school district to sell buildings. The district needs to be strategic on how we move forward to make sure we maximize the assets we have. The assets we have are our school buildings and our property. There are 2 buildings we are looking at that would bring in the most revenue. And that would be Barack Obama and Thurgood Marshall. Building expenses. So let's look at Thurgood Marshall. I used 2019 because that was the last time Barack Obama was open. So Barack Obama and Thurgood Marshall both opened at the same time. We look at their utility expenses. Thurgood Marshall is $158,847.84. Barack Obama was only $73,754. Then you move to 2024. There was a 293.03% increase in utilities across the board. That includes our houses as well. That's the increase. Well, Thurgood Marshall this past year, 2024, was $624,415.80. So what I did was, we don't have Barack Obama, what I did was I took their number and increased it by 293.03%. And the projected, it's not accurate, projected for Barack Obama, if we had it open last year, it would be $289,875.30. So you can see the significant differences between the two buildings when we run them. And there's a reason why I'm bringing that up. Now, in order to get Thurgood Marshall up and running, again, for next year, we need to put $2.5 million into the building itself. And that does not include roof replacement. It's over $1 million for a new boiler system, an HVAC system, and each classroom has its own unit. That's another $1 million. So we're looking at a lot of money to get Thurgood Marshall up to where it needs to be. Whereas Barack Obama with everything, it's $1.3 million. We do not have to replace the boiler. He's got to replace some parts. Significantly less. So, projections. Financial projections. If we were to sell Barack Obama, again, these are just projections. We don't know what the market is going to bring in, or be willing to pay. But we were to sell Barack Obama, about $4.5 million we received from the sale of that property. As you can see, it wouldn't even cut in half what we need to make up in the deficit. Okay? And the cost to keep or maintain would be about $73,000. If you look at Thurgood Marshall, we could probably anywhere from $16 to $20 million for the sale of that building. That would more than cover what we owe or what we have to make up in our budget. Now, I'm going to throw a little wrinkle in it, because I'm not really looking to sell our property. Because once you sell it, you lose it. You lose it. So Thurgood Marshall is the newest building. We understand that. So I know people look at what's the newest building. Oh yeah, but it has the most problems. It leaks. The roof has been leaking since I have been working there in 2001. I can ask the building principal now, she'll tell you it leaks. We've had plumbing issues. Matter of fact, the size of the classroom is not even adequate for our students. So, we can look to monetize the property. And what monetizing does is allows us long-term guaranteed revenue opportunities. It's a prime location, and the projected revenue would be anticipated 2 to 3 years before we start seeing revenue. So lots of long-term solution. Now, it needs to be understood that it's attractive for many uses and a sustainable source of funds for future needs. The utilization of public-private partnership we would look to utilize. And that was written into law, signed into law by Governor Murphy, August of 2018, that schools can go into public-private partnerships with buildings they own. That means we still own the property. So my job, unfortunately, I'm an educator. My job, unfortunately, now most jobs of superintendents is we need to run a business. That's unfortunately what education has become. I need to make sure that we're financially stable for many, many, many years to come. Why? Because our students deserve it. Everybody in this room has had a great education. Well, they deserve the same. So Thurgood Marshall facility overview. Listen, there's busing needs. 85% of the students that attend Thurgood Marshall live over on the west side by Barack Obama. 85%. That means we're busing a lot of those students to Thurgood Marshall. Okay, the roof condition is a problem. Upgraded HVAC system needs to happen. There's no parking. Teachers are constantly getting tickets over there because there's no place to park. Okay, there are space constraints. The plumbing constantly leaking. Okay, and it could guarantee revenue over the next 30 years. Because the public-private partnership, there's a maximum term of 30 years that you can lease it out. So the property's back in Asbury Park's hand in 30 years if that's what you choose to do. Okay, repair costs, boiler replacement is $1 million, and classroom units are $1.2 million. It's close to $2.5 million total. Barack Obama, again, student government grants, 85 students, 85% live over on the west side. Convenient location near community facilities, Boys and Girls Club. Transportation needs, minimal busing, it's only 13%. Classroom space, if you already did walkthroughs. Meets guidelines for early childhood. Okay, and also it offers a field space right next door at the middle school. Again, student demographic and building details, students' home locations, 15% on the east side, 85% on the west. Yes, there's building age concerns. Barack Obama's building is better built than most buildings in this district, besides the high school. And that comes strictly from our custodians and maintenance that work in those buildings. Okay, renovation cost is only about 1.3 million for Barack. We can either do a one-time sale opportunity and sell it, but then he's gone. Or we can do a long-term and move the other option where Thurgood Marshall comes into play. So that's basically everything that I presented to everybody in closed session. I took some slides out. Again, these are just options. I'm not telling anybody what they have to do, but these are options. These are options. It comes down to you to decide where you want to move, in what direction. Every option is on the table. I haven't taken any options off. Again, this is just me giving a presentation. There may be other options out there. I'm more than happy to listen to. But we have to start moving forward with whatever we're going to do because time is running short. And the state is going to come and tell us, get rid of the buildings. So either we take that initiative and start doing it ourselves, or we don't have an option. Okay? Any questions?
Technical one.
Use my.
Technical one that might be for Ivy. The savings on the ERI program, is that in your numbers yet or no? Yeah. It's in, okay.
And we're receiving more interest from schools, but we're getting close to the end of the year, so you're not going to get as many students to come in.
Right, that number basically are students, but.
Well, we have several students, and we're receiving another one soon.
But when you showed us the budget a while back, you'd already kicked that in to help with the.
We're going to have, I think next week we'll have a total of 3 out of this. That's $360,000.
Okay, thank you.
That we're receiving. Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Hold on, Mark. A couple of questions. Thanks for the presentation. And I wanted to also let you brought it up, well, a couple of things. You brought up the fact of early childhood and the fact that we had discussions with the Department of Education because Thurgood, we did not have an efficient or the space to accommodate. Can you explain that to the board?
Yeah, what happens is you need a certain amount of square footage in the classroom. Okay, so the way Thurgood Marshall was designed is that classes, as it gets smaller as it goes, right? They get smaller as classes move from east to west in the building. The classrooms get small. It's actually the polar opposite of Asbury Park. If you know the design of Asbury Park, the history of Asbury Park, when they designed Asbury Park, the streets are wider at the beach than they are when you move west. And why is that? Airflow. Airflow. That's how Asbury Park was developed. Well, Thurgood Marshall was actually developed not for that reason, but the space was actually opposite of how Asbury Park was developed. It goes larger to smaller. And you need a minimum of 700 square feet for a pre-K classroom. And we have that and more at Barack Obama.
Also, questions were brought up about us cutting, and I've said continuously, our kids don't have enough. But to see generating opportunities, as you talked about the ERI program, these are things that essentially give us an opportunity to expand. So in these presentations, people have to realize that we don't have a lot to cut, not even $1, because some of the program we have for our kids, actually, we don't have it, and they don't meet the adequate standards of the state, which the state monitor is going to go over quite a bit of that in his presentation to the board. And like I said, Mark's is a little technical, and people are going to look at the fact that when you say a newer building versus an older building, and some of us have been in development, or some of the buildings that have been built can outstand a lot of the ones that haven't been built. So when you're looking at some of these questions, and I want the board to thoroughly, because this is going to be a process with the Buildings and Grounds and the Finance Committee, please start to generate your questions so we can thoroughly vet these options, because right now, just watching the governor on TV last night, which I was very disturbed, talking about Middletown closing 3 schools, and then his comments were, well, I'm going to have my Department of Education talk to them because, well, I live there and it's my baby. We wanted to talk to him too, because guess what? He's the governor, and I guess I want to be one of his babies, because we are short in this budget. But the little things that we have to look at is, we can't look at smaller options, we have to look at big options, because one of the things that we have to look at is that we have to continually to flush out finances for this district, not for this year, but for the next 5 years. And we have to look at options for presentation. So thank you.
Thank you.
I had one question that I wanted to ask. It just came to my mind when you're talking about how much money different buildings may bring. And it may be a question for the state monitor, or I don't know if Ivy knows. If you reap a large benefit from a sale of a building, and can you carry it over multiple years? I don't think you can. So to acquire a large amount of money may not be to the benefit of our budget, because we can't carry it over. It has to be used. So that's something that we, unless I'm wrong, so if you say, let's say you're short a few $1 million, let's say for number's sake, you're short $3 million, but you can sell a building for $5 million. You can't carry the 2 over to the next year to make up your deficit. They won't allow you to hold unless a certain amount of the percentage of your, I guess your total general budget in reserves.
I can't really speak to that, but that's exactly.
Is that correct?
Yeah, I can't speak to that, but that's.
You can't use a district as a savings account. It doesn't work that way.
I can't completely speak to that, but that's why going to a public-private partnership will continue to bring in revenue to the district for many years, instead of looking to sell a building, because it's going to be a short-term thing, and once you sell a piece of property, it's done. You never get it back.
I think another point, sorry, is that I don't want to be flippant, but while that kind of number may sound large, $20 million for this district would be gone in less than 2 years. Because of the deficits that we're facing, the proceeds of a sale would not last very long.
And
But
let me.
That's assuming that other things don't improve, though. You're not getting more income from other programs. You're assuming that there's no other income from other programs like the ERI or any other things that the district tries to do to increase the amount of money it takes in.
It's not that I'm not including it, it's that those things alone are not significant enough to make a big enough dent in the struggles that we're facing. And again, if we're talking about action that needs to be taken this year, with these decisions that have to be made this year, the public-private partnership process takes some time to execute, because it requires state approval, it requires municipal involvement, it requires, vetting developers and coming up with a proper program. It's not simply giving them a building to occupy, it's redesigning and redeveloping the entire 4-block radius that the school occupies. So it's, looking at, would we want a parking garage? Would you want commercial space? Would you want residential? All of that can be contained. It is an enormous parcel of property in probably the most expensive or valuable part of this city, downtown, because there is no open land available anymore. But again, we've got to be making these decisions, and this is what we've been struggling with, but we must make these decisions now and work for the future, or we're not going to have a district in a year.
Well, also, let me follow up with that, something I just found out this afternoon, talking to our state monitor. When we look at those costs, he told me something that I, didn't recognize. Our increases over each year, just looking at benefits and overflows, is increasing every year. So you might be looking at almost a $4 million increase or $3.5 million in the next couple of years, each year. So we have to, one, try to bring in as much revenue, find out-of-the-box thinking that will generate options so we don't have to increase taxes as much as we should. Thank you, Mark.
Mr. Gerbino, I had one question. First of all, this idea and the vision is bold. It's something that we need to work on now and vote on now. I agree with Wendy on that. I had one question. How do we prevent the charter school from occupying Thurgood in a public-private partnership? I mean, I don't know if we know the legalities of it, but I know that there was talk of, would we be able to do like a deed restriction or something to prevent a charter school from for a developer to sell it to a charter school, not sell it, but allow a charter school to be there?
Joe, we're the landlord. We retain the leasehold interest. We decide what development project we want to put on that project. We decide who our partner is. That's we're the public side of it, but we choose the private side.
Sorry, I'm confused. Are we selling Thorogood? Is that the plan, or are we creating a private-public partnership where we do this?
Well, that's the ultimate decision that has to be made by this board, but what you will hear at some point is we will be recommending that we pursue this public-private partnership where we retain the leasehold interest in the land, and we enter into an agreement with the developer to build whatever it is we decide to build, receive revenue annually, and then take it back at the end of 30 years.
The presentation you just made, Mr. Gerbino, was us selling the building for $20 million, right? I just want to make sure I understand.
I did both. I said you can sell it, or we can go into a public-private partnership.
Did you have the numbers up for the public-private partnership? Because I think I missed them.
I couldn't tell you, I can't give you those numbers. I don't know.
Right, so we don't, gotcha. So as of,
$20 million, that's just
understood. Yeah, that's just an estimate based on values.
What those costs would be.
Complete.
But just like the maintenance building, just so you know, that we want to sell the maintenance building, but there are stipulations of what can and can't go there. So we cannot put it, and it's his role, but we cannot put a slaughterhouse, we can't put a chicken in.
Yeah, but those are zoning restrictions.
But the thing is, you still can put, no, the use of facility
So-
restrictions.
Those
Okay,
are deed
so-
restrictions on that.
All houses in Asbury Park have those deed restrictions. You can't have pigs, it's all in the back.
So you can put restrictions on it, whatever it
It's
is.
everywhere.
So the idea, what we're toying with here is selling it, but with restrictions as to who can occupy it after? No, for the maintenance building.
Oh, the maintenance building?
What were you just saying about the maintenance building? That there's certain restrictions on what can go
We
there?
were talking about Thurgood Marshall restrictions, so I
Right.
compared it to the maintenance stock, if you want to sell it, and there are restrictions, it's not working. There are restrictions to what you can sell it to, or what they can do, build it.
Right, but
We can do the same thing with Thurgood Marshall.
But that's what I'm asking. So there's two different things at play here, right? What you can put on a piece of property in town is derived by municipal laws, right? Once you own it.
Not necessarily. So with regard to the maintenance shop specifically, there is a deed restriction. It's not a town restriction. There's a restriction on the deed for that particular property that includes, I don't know the old terminology, but like houses of ill repute, slaughterhouses, things like that.
Right,
Okay, but
so-
I'm talking about the deed specifically that I reviewed. There's a deed restriction. That's all I'm concerned about. I don't care about the rest of Asbury Park. I only care about the property that we're actually, the subject property that we're talking about, looking at. So there are restrictions on that. As far as the other question, Ms. Ackerman, that you asked me, if you could just repeat it. 'cause
That's okay. No, the question I was asking was, are we considering selling it with our own additional deed restriction that you cannot put a charter school on that property?
To the extent that a group or entity that is purchasing the property will agree to that deed restriction, yes, it's possible to do that, although I would imagine that if a different school approached us about purchasing the property, they most likely will not agree to such a deed restriction.
Agreed. Okay, I just wanted to clarify where we stood on that. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Also, so I just, Adam, I just want to clear up the deed restriction. Call me Crescent, but if somebody buys that property, they probably want to put condos on there. And is there?
They wouldn't be able to.
Would
Based off the deed restriction, they wouldn't be able to.
they would not be able.
It depends on what's in the restrictions.
And I can only speak about the maintenance building
Yes.
because that's the only one that I can recall right now. I'm not sure in terms of, who's buying what for what, but to the extent that any purchaser of the property is willing to have the deed restriction, whatever it is that we choose to put in there, if they're agreeable to it, that would be recorded as part of the deed, and that would run with the land.
So that area is,
I'm just saying, we're very close to setting a price for the maintenance building and going.
Right.
There is no, so I want to know currently, as they've talked about deed restrictions, is the price coming, I'm hoping they can build condos because that's what they're going to want to do.
To the extent that a developer comes in and wishes to purchase the property, they're going to look to maximize, whatever they can get out of it.
Right.
And so I'm not aware, as I sit here right now, having looked at the deed probably 2 weeks ago, I can't recall anything that talks about building multiple dwelling units on that property being restricted. I don't recall that. However, to the extent that anyone who wishes to bid on the property, can do their due diligence, and we would provide that to them so that they know exactly what they're bidding on. That would be part of the specs.
Thank you.
Right, yeah, I think the point of the question was if we were to put a deed restriction on it that said you couldn't put up X or Y, charter school or whatever, that could drive down the price because it's one more.
Absolutely.
It's one more restriction and I think that's what Don was getting at. So as we're setting the price, it's helpful for us to understand whether the board or the finance committee or Mr. Turbino is recommending that we include such a deed restriction because it could negatively impact the asking price.
I suggest that to the extent you're going to put the maintenance building up for sale, which is kind of what we've all been talking about, and we've actually taken some board action on that, I would suggest that for now, we don't try to put any restrictions on the deed. Let's see if we can get it through clean, or as clean as possible, to the extent any purchaser is interested in having a restriction, which I doubt they would be. It would be us that wants it. We can address it kind of down the road. But for right now, my recommendation would be that you set a price, which really should be done tonight, that you set a price that is with the mindset that a developer may come in and want to build multiple dwelling units.
Regarding the sale of the maintenance building, I had given an override of that motion. I'm fine with the sale of the maintenance building, but before you advertise, I want to plan exactly what you're going to do with the maintenance department, where it's going to go, and what it's going to cost. I hear pole barn, I hear classrooms in Obama School, but we need to set that definitive plan on what you're going to do with the maintenance shop before you sell the building.
I know that the maintenance department did have a plan a few years ago, and I would have thought that during the process of us speaking about this, that the administration would come up with some alternatives as to what to do and where to go.
Do we have a presentation on what we're going to do with the maintenance?
Like I said, with the maintenance shop, we are looking into subdividing Barack Obama, and there are two options. Subdividing Barack Obama, putting some kind of, whether it's a pole barn or a metal building at Barack Obama, and that gives us still availability to have to, if we have to sell Barack Obama. Or the other option is, and we looked at and discussed, actually, Dominic discussed, brought this up, is we can use the back parking lot, that would be the south southwest parking lot? Southwest parking lot, where you can actually put a building there and attach it to the Barack Obama building if we decide to keep it. The thing is with using classrooms is that, well, we may need those classrooms. And the maintenance shop doesn't need classrooms, they need a space to put their trucks, all their equipment, their supplies. So it's not just classrooms, we need to have a place to store everything. So there are two options. It all depends on what happens with Barack Obama.
Do we have any costs, like, is I think part of what the state monitor keeps asking us for is what's gonna come off the bottom line in terms of costs to set up either option one or option two?
Well,
Do
option
we have
one,
any of that?
the pole barn is about $450,000, one-time startup fee. About $450,000. 450,000.
And would we have to put a structure up in the parking lot? Would there be a pole barn in the parking lot?
No, that's what we did on the property.
Right, well, if we put, so option two is the
We still
parking
have to
lot,
put a structure up there.
so it would still be around maybe less than
Probably less
450
because there's
you have
already a
the floor.
foundation there,
Right,
but it'd be a lot smaller. And what that does is cuts out the opportunity to have a shared facility where we would be receiving income from the city for them to lease out our
and
property.
have we talked to the city, have we run any numbers to get any estimates on how much that would bring in for us?
No, it depends on space.
How many vehicles presently are housed inside?
About 6.
Okay, you-
We have four bays in that, one side and plus the other, so we've got about 6.
There's something-
That's also, we gotta include in that would be the front end loader or the,
right, and that can go in the high school though, right, in the room in
which
the
that
high
doesn't
school?
stay at the high school, no.
Oh, the front, no.
It stays
So
at the
4
main shop.
vehicles in a front end?
Yeah,
That's not a large facility though.
and all the stuff that's in the main shop.
Sorry, Mr.
That's if you're considering putting it all in the same place.
You would have to because we have no other room anywhere else in the district.
Well, I know that the maintenance department was thinking about 2 of the last classrooms on the southwest corner of Barack Obama downstairs. That was, yeah, that's
So
the
you can't,
original plan.
that's a school building, you can have students in, it, you can't put maintenance supplies inside the school building, like that. You talk about stuff with chemicals,
No, I'm talking about offices and stuff.
Oh, offices, yeah,
Like
offices,
equipment.
they would need-
And
they would need-
Not hazardous stuff.
they would need one
Talking about
office.
like tools or something.
One office they would need,
Yeah,
that's it. And that can actually use the PE office, which is a door right into there. Uh-huh, and that's where the gymnasium is. Okay, we're talking about two things, but,
to where the furnace is.
well, that's where also the playground is.
No, it's the other side, I'm talking about the other side.
Okay, so the other side, where you have the playground, the other side, the gymnasium's there. And that's a parking lot right there.
There's an exit right out into the parking lot there, not to.
Yeah, there's an exit. We have
This is not the time to talk about all
Yeah,
the,
okay, well,
all the stuff.
You brought it up, and I'm just trying to explain. Thank you.
Mr. Gerbino, I just had, wanted to go back to the shared services really quickly. The shared services.
Yeah.
So do we currently have any agreements with the city for shared services?
No.
Okay, and have we either, I guess you,
I have brought it up before, it hasn't
okay, have
come to
you,
fruition.
got it. Have you spoken with city council at all about shared services for the maintenance building, for the maintenance?
Well, you're not sure.
It's a shared facility agreement, and yes, we have.
Yeah.
Okay, so who spoke to the city council when, and what was this, where are we in that process? Because that is gonna factor into which of these options is the most financially viable, right? So if we've spoken to city council, one, are they on board with shared facilities? And two, have we had any discussions with them about how much their end of the shared services is gonna provide to the school district?
Okay, I haven't spoken to the entire city council, number one. Number two, right, that's not my job. Number two, what we have talked with them about is them renting space for some of their vehicles because they are out of space. And they would contribute capital funds towards the building of it and the ongoing rental of some space. Again, it's a shared facility, not a shared service. what we plan to do and what was discussed at Buildings and Grounds and at the Finance Committee, and I'm jumping the gun here, what our plan was to sit down with them and talk about, confirm what their needs are. And their needs could be, you know what, do what you want, and if you can fit us, great, and if not, great, do what you need for yourselves. But we can sit down with our engineer and plan out the space, and they will say what they
Right, Wendy, I
are in for.
understand the process, I understand.
But fundamentally, we need to
All
make.
I was asking Mr. Gerbino was, we're having a discussion about finance, right? It was a very straightforward question of, have we raised it with the city council, which it sounds like you or others have spoken at least to part of the city council?
Correct.
You. And then the second question was, in those conversations, had any discussion of the finances been taking place? It sounds like from what you're saying, the answer is no, not yet, but you have a plan in place.
The answer was, is it's premature until we sit down and design the structure and figure out what it's going to cost and what they will contribute towards that.
I understand, but we're kind of in a catch-22 right now, right? The state monitor is saying we can't put the maintenance building up for sale until he knows exactly how much it's gonna cost us to replace those maintenance, the storage facilities we have now, right? So that's where we are. So we can't actually move forward with the sale of the maintenance building until the state monitor is appeased.
Okay, and this is, right, and this is the continuing, ongoing problem that we have, is that every time we start to work out a plan, the monitor throws up another wrench in the process. Because fundamentally, what we can do, and what we did do 2-3 meetings ago, was agree that we were going to sell the maintenance building. Both Finance and Building Grounds last week at the meetings, reached a proposal that we want, a recommendation to this board of a reserve price for the maintenance building. Whatever that price is, what we believe is a good price for us to receive for that should be separate and apart from what is going to be built and who is going to share in that process. Because either way, we need to sell the parcel, and if we set a reserve, we can walk away from it if we don't get that price, but we got to sell it. So it's irrelevant what it's going to cost. If we're talking about $800,000, if you're talking about $1 million, and you're still selling it for something well over that, yeah.
I don't have a problem.
I just think
with anything you're saying. The only,
Can I just jump in? I think I'd be helpful, maybe, sort of.
I actually was done, Adam.
Okay.
My point to Wendy is that I appreciate everything she's saying, and I feel her frustration. I was just pointing out that the state monitor has now raised with us for the second or third time that we can't list it until we have this answer. So my question was simply just asking where we were in the process, and I appreciate that, and we can move on.
I'd just like to say that I hope that this evening, the board will be able to come to an agreement on setting a reserve price for it. And if the monitor wants to hold us up and not let us advertise the sale of this building, well, so be it. But we need to move forward.
All I'm saying is that the Board of Education needs to have a plan in place on what they're going to do with the maintenance department. There is no plan right now on what they're going to do, what you're going to do. And you need that plan in place.
If I can. Hold on. We're going to cut this short. Right now, I'm going to ask our attorney and the superintendent to reach out to the city to somewhat discuss options and put them on the table so we can satisfy all these options and discuss a possible facilities agreement with the city, and that will be formally in our hands to discuss.
Can I ask a question about this pole barn that people keep mentioning? And if you're going to put it in a residential area, have you actually asked the people that have to look at it every day if they want a pole barn in their neighborhood? You have a lot of people that live on Bangs Avenue and on Madison. That's my own question, because I think about the people that live in the area.
If I can just make a suggestion, and I understand the state monitor's point with regard to putting together a maintenance
plan. But I think that this can be done on 2 tracks. The one track being, let me kind of get this ready to sell. And the second track is, let's get a plan together for a maintenance building. We can work on both of those things at the same time. And then when you tell me fire away, you're actually going to tell Ivy fire away, because she's going to then post the spec, which is the advertisement for people, the invitation for people to submit sealed bids. This can all be done simultaneously on 2 tracks so that we can move this forward. It doesn't sound like it would take that long to put together a plan for maintenance. Like, at the same time, it won't take that long for me to put together these bid specs, but like, something's got to happen in order for there to be progress, and I'm volunteering that I will get my track going and get it ready to be locked and loaded, so that when a plan is in place that satisfies the monitor, Ivy can just publish the bid spec.
I appreciate
couldn't agree
that.
more, Adam. And that was just my question, right? Was what's the plan so that we can get that parallel track moving? What steps have we taken to answer the monitor's question? That was my only goal in raising these questions and asking Mr. Gerbino the question. That's it. Because we talked about it, he's raised it, he's overruled us. We need the plan, or he's just going to overrule us again. That's all I was going with.
And while we're at it, can we move forward with Dorothy McNish, because we're supposed to be selling that also? I don't know where we are on that. Dorothy McNish building.
I can provide an update. We're nowhere fast on that, because all I have is authorization to move ahead, but I don't have a reserve price. I don't have, anything like that that would allow me to move forward. So to the extent that,
So that's 2 prices we need.
yes, I need the board to set 2 reserve prices, please.
And again, it's ahead of the committee reports, but the Finance and Buildings and Grounds have a proposal for a reserve price on McNish as well.
Is that something to discuss in executive session, or you?
To the extent that we're going to kind of banter back and forth about reserve prices, we should do that in exec. We should come out, though, from exec to set the price. That would be done in public by way of a public board vote.
Thank you.
Let's get on to the state monitor.
Yes, my plan tonight is, when I sent out a list of the budget changes, I was asked to explain what they were. I did send a short explanation in email, but I have it here tonight to explain. The other question is when the state sent out the number for the adequacy threshold, there was people were doing research, and they're saying the numbers did not agree with the state aid figures that were sent out. And I have a resolution of that, where the numbers came from. Number three, I want to talk briefly about using the surplus of the PEA budget. Number 4, I had a phone call with the county office today. They want the school board to approve another tentative budget, and I'll go into the reason for that. And let me get started. And if I'm repeating stuff you already know, I'll just skip it and we'll go on. So a question came up, why did the deficit go from, let me just make sure I have the right chart up. It's the wrong one, bear with me. Okay, here it is. So the question came up, why did the $7.5 million deficit go to $11,354,000? And I couldn't answer the question at that meeting because I only increased the charter school tuition by $2.5 million. Let me make that a little bit bigger for you. Okay, a little bit bigger. And this is a list of all the changes. What happened was there were corrections made to the budget after the board did their resolution. When I went to recalculate the budget, there were a number of changes that I wasn't aware of and corrections made. So first of all, the revenue changed. I put in the sale of the property, $11,681,000, but then transfer from other funds, this is transfer from the titles, went down $327. And so the deficit was $11,354,000.
I'm sorry, I don't understand that. Can you please restate that and explain, and also please explain where you have $11.5 million of property sales?
The 11,681 property sale is a number that is a holding number so the county can work on the budget. The county is suggesting that we increase taxes, and I'm going to discuss that in a different part. But that's what the sale of the property came from, that because the school district does have property that it could possibly sell totaling that amount of money.
But what do you have to comprise that? What specific parcels are you including in making that your placeholder?
That number's going to disappear. So it doesn't really matter. You can sell the Marshall School for $12.5 million. That's a number. I'm not saying you're going to do it, but the county said put a placeholder in there. You're going to sell McNish. You're going to sell the maintenance shop. So that number is going to disappear from there. But we're jumping ahead.
So that's just an arbitrary number at this point, just to balance the budget?
Correct.
Thank you.
And at the end of this presentation, you'll have a real number. So the first change is transfer to charter schools. It went up by $2,499,000. And that was to bring it as close as possible to the amount that the state projected. The amount was $15,147,000, but there was not enough money to bring it up to that amount. And since this budget was made, and when we do the advertisement, when we do the budget hearing, that number will be reduced some more. The state gave us permission to reduce it by 40 students.
Because there aren't enough,
I don't have the exact number, but it will be reduced.
because there aren't enough bodies to justify the numbers that the charter schools and the county has submitted to us. I think that we need to make that point very clear. And the number 40 that they chose to reduce it by, when we asked the question how they could come up with that many additional students to the schools, it was an arbitrary number of 40. They also can't explain to us why they picked 40.
And that's a question between the school board and the state. ERI teacher salaries.
Well, I hate to do this, but stop.
Fine.
Last year, it seemed like it was not an issue between the school board and the state. We determined, based upon outrageous projection, or the board determined, outrageous projections, you went with a number and it was accepted. It's a little concerning that this year, I feel like the rules are changing, the goalposts are moving, the ground is opening up, and
It's not going to be, and to your point, Dominic, it is not going to be an issue between the school board and the state since the state refuses to speak to us.
Okay, if I may remark, last year I did not unilaterally change the number. Last year that number was changed in conjunction with the county office. The reason it was changed because if I put in a number that I think is extremely high and we lay off staff and we don't have, and then when the real number comes in, we laid off staff we didn't have to lay off, that's why we didn't do that. We did not want to lay off staff by having an artificially high number. They agreed, and they said, what happens if I said, we're going to have free balance left over in this school year budget from last year to this year, and we can use that money to balance it if it goes higher than what's in the budget. That's why they agreed to it.
We also had the ESSER funds last year, too.
Excuse me?
The leftover COVID funds, we also had to.
Actually, that was a free balance. I don't know the source of it, but that's.
Right, that's
balance
what
of
the free balance was, the extra ESSER funds.
So that's why we were allowed to do that. ERI teacher salaries went up. A lot of these salary changes are the result of a corrected PCR that was prepared, that was not ready at the time that the budget was prepared. So a lot of these changes have to do with that. Tuition was an updated tuition that was updated since the budget was shown to the board. Teacher aides is a PCR, improvement instructional services supervisors, PCR correction, central services salaries, PCR correction. As far as the next three lines, the supplies, let me bring that up. The three supply numbers, I'm not sure why that happened. Ivy could answer that if it's important, but it's a very small amount. It's only $24,000. Transportation, and same thing with the transportation purchase service is $2,000. Health insurance was increased because the calculation was understated. What happened was when the budget for next year was calculated, the increase is 17%. And what was done, it took whatever this year's budget was and increased it by 17%, but that's not how it works. The state health benefits number changes every January. So there's one rate from July through December, a second rate which is higher from January through June. So come next year, 6 months are going to carry at the higher rate, and then in January, that's going to be increased by 17%. That's why you had a $234,000 increase, and the transfer to school-based budgets, that includes PCR corrections and health insurance increase. And that's where $3,771,284 was added to the deficit. Are there any questions about that before I go on?
But the 3772 could change because of the adjustment to the charter school.
It is going to change because of the
Yes.
adjustments in charter school. I know we have to add a tuition line for state school facilities at a higher number than what was taken out. I'm going through overtime lines, and then we'll look at the transportation lines. The supply lines and those items, I'm not going to look at that much because I think they're basically the same as last year. So that number could go, it's not going to go up, it's going to go down. No matter what, I'm not going to let it go up.
And the transportation for preschool, you could allow to use the budget this year.
Okay,
preschool
so
budget,
now
right,
here's-
next year, so that's going to be a minus.
That's a
that we
segue.
don't have
That's a
to
segue.
save it, yeah.
So the transportation budget for next year versus this year, the difference is, I have the budgets here to hand out, and I might as well hand them out now. The budget being handed out is the one that agrees with this. And it's one that the state currently has. I don't think you received any of these during the last few weeks, so I decided to hand one out to you tonight. Have it. I don't expect you to ask questions about it tonight, but I'm sure you'll have questions down the road about it. And if you do, the best thing to do is just email the business administrator with a copy to me so we can look at those questions and have, rather than wait to the hearing when it's going to be a long night anyway, the hearing, this way we can resolve those questions prior to the hearing.
Mr. Schaefer, what I want to do is I want to appreciate you giving us this overview and the amount of information we are receiving. I've never gotten this much information as long as I've been here, and I appreciate it from any state monitor.
Thank you. I had my BA hat on when I was a BA. So the next question was, how did this $54 million adequacy threshold change from $50 million, which was the adequacy budget? I sent that out to you today by email. I don't know how many of you received it, but I did send it out, and I got an answer late this afternoon. And I really don't understand the answer, I'm being honest. The state is telling me what makes up the number. I don't know. I mean, that's what they do. They tell you what it is, and it's a mystery sometimes. So what they did was, they took the $50 million. And then if you go to, if you brought it with you, and I do have a copy of this, I can put it up. For those of you that don't have it.
Everyone, I'd just like to say, this is the most exhaustive numbers, and most of these things are changing as they're going along. The governor actually put in exhaustive changes, and we're just continually to try to fit, absorb, and restructure around these numbers. So some of the things we're just getting knowledge of, but we're trying to get as exhaustive to this budget as possible. And I do thank Mr. Schaefer for spending as much time with us and going through it. So thank you.
I don't know if you can see this, and I can't really enlarge it, but there's a number, adequacy budget, 50,929,906. And then what they did was, if you go to the next page, categorical aids, they added special education categorical aid, 3098142, and then they added security aid, 890013. I can make it bigger.
I don't understand why they did that. Because those, they're always separate,
Yes. Well, the part I didn't understand was, that's not the amount of state aid being received for special education and security. Both of them are less than that amount. But they said that's the amount that the district would have gotten if the formula was followed completely, and they reduced it, and they reduced the numbers, but for the use the efficiency, that's what they added, the 3098, and when you do those three numbers, the adequacy budget of 50 million and 3098, 890, it comes exactly out to the dollar of what.
can I ask you who the brain trust is that figured this out or decided to dump this in our lap? I mean, you don't just change things like that because you want to. So if,
Just wait.
you just keep on adding, you just like making it up. Is everybody else getting this too?
Yes. I'm
So
at
everybody
hearings
else
every,
got
yes.
this?
Everybody, I've heard so many hearings.
So they changed the game?
Yes.
So it's only the S2 districts that are getting this?
There are 300 districts that
So
are
they're being,
below their fair share, but also below adequacy.
my question is, are the ones that are below their fair share? Well, you don't have to do your fair share. You do it because you want to make up the difference, but it's no law requiring you to raise taxes. You do it because you have a deficit.
Correct.
Okay. Are the school districts in the state of New Jersey that are not included in S2, are their budgets based on the same formula, the same contorted budget this year that S2 districts are, or normal districts?
Yeah.
They're all doing this?
Yes.
Yes. So this security and this special ed category aid is added into your adequacy?
Yep,
Doesn't make any sense.
the adequacy threshold.
I was at the budget hearing, and Monroe Township actually brought up that same,
Was there a law that changed it, or it was just somebody who had a great idea?
Oh, we got great people, we got great people in Trenton.
That makes no sense. How do you just do, oh, wait, we have someone in the federal government that's doing that, so.
So next,
But, Mr. Shape, those questions that Barbara brought up, the same things we talked about this afternoon around 3, please,
yeah.
if we can, I would like to.
The answer I was given was that
These-
those items are included. You
Yeah,
have to add your special ed and your security. I said, what about transportation? Oh, no, you don't add that.
exactly. I mean, I don't know who,
You don't add your income?
You don't add transportation
they don't
aid.
have transportation.
You only add these two.
Tell Freehold Township, they got extra money one year for transportation. How much is they gonna lose?
I don't know.
A lot of money.
Okay.
I would love to know, like, who's the wizard behind.
Excuse me,
that makes-
Freehold Regional, I'm sorry.
You know, that makes the decision.
Okay. So, right now, that 11,681,000 is the amount of money that the district can raise its budget along with, and that's a combination of taxes and about 5% state aid. The way to figure out the breakdown, you take the 11,681 divided by 1.05, and that'll give you the tax increase, and the difference is a state aid increase.
What's the tax increase? Because I know you've already figured it out, what they're telling us to do.
Question is, did I write it down? No, I didn't write it down. It's about, I can't give you the whole number, it's about $500,000. About 500,000.
Okay, because last year we were told we met the fair share amount.
Would be the incentive aid, and then the balance is a tax increase.
Oh, yeah, that's a great deal. I know, they say, okay, if you raise your taxes, how much was it, $11 million?
11,600,000.
Yeah, you're gonna tell the tax base that we need another
$550,000.
$11 million to bleed out of you.
11 million more.
More. And you know what? We got this great bargain for you. We're gonna give you $500,000. Who would do that?
Okay, yeah.
I mean, that's ridiculous.
But if you say, let's just stick with this idea that raise your taxes 11 million, we're at 27 something now. Local fair share is showing up at 35,549. 11 million. The state's telling not only for this ridiculous amount, but that the amount is then millions above what the formula says.
There's local fair share, correct.
But it's above fair share.
It's above local fair share, yes.
You're killing me, Smalls.
That doesn't make
Hold
any
on,
sense whatsoever.
Let him, because he is going to explain.
I can't hear you.
This is the tax levy incentive aid proposal. This statutory paragraph that he emailed out explains this great bargain. If you're below your local fair share, and you go up to this adequacy number, above your local fair share, up to this adequacy number, they in turn will give you $500,000. Significantly above. You must go up to this adequacy number, which is above local fair share. But you won't get the deal.
And you'll get less state aid, but at the same time, then you have to figure out how you're going to make up the hole in the budget. So,
Mrs. Schachter, can I ask a question?
yes.
So when we're talking about the $35.5 million that's identified as our local fair share, so under normal circumstances, that's our full contribution that's expected from the
That's what
from
you're,
the
that's,
state,
that's,
making us fully funded?
so what happens, that's what you're expected to pay, but at the same time, you weren't allowed to raise taxes more than 2%, so you'll always be below local fair share. What this is doing, it's allowing a one-time for districts to come up to their adequacy budget, or at least up to their adequacy budget, they're allowed to, or they can do less.
Right, but they're also arbitrarily increasing our adequacy budget by adding in these other items that
Well, I think,
typically
I
weren't
think-
there.
I think they may have always used that number, I don't know.
Mr. Shafter, but last year
I
we
don't have
were
an answer to
able,
that.
we were able to go above 2% because we're in an Abbott district, an old Abbott district. Did they change the law that Abbott districts, former Abbott districts couldn't go above 2%?
It was all districts couldn't go up to.
I'm sorry?
It's all districts that cannot go above 2%. But 300 districts in the state are allowed to go above the 2%.
Right, I think this is
If they
their,
partake in this
Right.
program.
right, this is their deal to say, okay, so now you can raise your taxes and we'll give you 5% back on the amount of
I have a
taxes.
feeling there's wealthier communities that want to raise their taxes, but they're not allowed
Well,
to.
I don't blame them, but we just raised ours,
We've-
what was,
we've
we
gone up
were
in
at
2 years.
local fair share last year. We were at just about where we were supposed to be last year. And to say we have to raise our taxes again, $11 million, that just doesn't make sense.
In order, they're allowing you to do that.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
But let me, as I've been saying, I believe rich people, condos that are $6 million are not paying their fair share.
That's right, Tracy, but we
In
can't
this-
fix that tonight. We can't fix the pilots.
but-
We need to talk about what we can actually do, because raising the taxes on the taxpayers of Asbury Park by 11 million or 22 million, whatever it's gonna work out to, isn't gonna be digestible. And
No.
it's-
What I'm
we've gone up too much.
I brought up this option because Atlantic City, quite a few years ago, because of their commercial decrease in properties, the state came in and supported Atlantic City. So right now, until we solve this problem, I think we need to advocate for a fact that things that we did not, this board had nothing to do with, needs to advocate for some viability. Listening to the governor yesterday, the governor on Talking Out Middletown basically said, people got to pay their fair share. So he's sticking with it. He's basically said that.
Okay, to continue. Let's talk about the use of preschool carryover money. Last year, for this year's budget, I had a lot of arguments with the state regarding the use of carryover money. We wanted to use money to balance the budget to help grades 1, 2, and 3. I wanted to use money to transport the preschool students. It said in the manual you're allowed to do that. They wouldn't allow that. I got a verbal commitment for the 1.2 million, but we really never got a written commitment until I told them, I said, you want us to go into deficit, then don't give it to us. And they sent the letter a week later. So we got the 1.2 million. Not allowed to do that anymore. But
Is that included in here yet?
we're not allowed to do that this year, 1.2.
Why?
Because that was at one time only they said they stopped it. This is going to be the last year.
Oh, of course.
So what they did though, they're allowing us, even though it said in the manual, we're allowed to use the money to pay for transportation. In this year's budget, they only allowed to use for child seats and aids on the bus aids.
That's always been the case.
But the
Yeah,
manual,
but I thought they said.
That's what we use it now. Preschool aid uses, it helps with bus aids and if a 3-year-old needs a booster seat. So that's nothing new.
right, but the manual said you could use it for the cost of the bus companies, for the drivers and the transportation. So this year, they put that in regulation. So for the next year's budget, the school district is allowed to use carryover money specifically for the transportation
Okay.
of preschool regular students.
So how much money is,
We don't have a number yet. I'm going to review transportation. That's one of the things I have to review.
that's a significant amount
But
of
for
money.
example, if you have a bus that costs $50,000 a year, and you have 30 preschool students and 10 kindergarten students on the bus, then you can take 75% of that cost and charge it to the preschool budget. So that's something new. which is not, I don't know whether it's accounted for or not in this because the increase for transportation is minimal between this year and next year. So I have to review that. So, the final part, doing a new budget for the county. Today, they told me that, actually they told me before today, that we were allowed to increase cap above the 2% because of the healthcare costs. And it's $756,000. So I knew that, but I thought we would just change it at the public hearing. Make all the changes at once at the public hearing. I was told that if we don't use all of our cap, we may not be, all of the allowance at cap adjustment, we may not be able to use the tax incentive program. So they said, do a new budget, send it to me, and that's in place. And then when they do the formulas in a week or two, because then we'll get our proper amount. So that's why I gave you a budget tonight, and I want to present this resolution.
Sorry, Mr. Shaft. Are you saying the state told you that we can go above 2% in order to meet the deficit? We can increase taxes above the 2% to meet the deficit?
So, yes, $756,000.
Okay, but if we don't do that,
we may not be able to get all of our tax incentive aid dollars and allow to increase taxes as much. It may be lower.
and how much is that? How much
Don't have
is
the number yet. We'll have real numbers.
for the incentive?
Yeah, but we have to do this. She basically told us to do it. And if you'll pass this out.
Do you have any of this in writing, Mr. Shafter?
Are you kidding?
No, I'm not kidding. You know, there's a lot of talking back and forth.
I did get in writing the formula on how the $54 million was arrived at. I got it, and I sent you that. That was from my boss Stephanie at NJDO.
But all this other stuff back and forth about you can't do this and you can't do that, is that actually in writing or is this all verbal?
It's verbal,
So
but it's true. So the budget remains exactly the same. And all that I did was I increased local taxes by $756,610 and reduced the sale of property by the same dollar amount, $756,610. Other than that, the budget that I approved last week in my override remains exactly the same. And I do want to reiterate that this budget does not include laying off teachers, does not include privatizing custodians, does not include privatizing security, does not include any sale of buildings once it's finalized.
Wait, sorry, can you explain that again? Because I thought you just said that this is balanced with almost $11 million of a proposed sale.
And what they want us to do is, they want us to use the cap allowance for the healthcare costs.
It's hard to hear you.
They want us to use the cap allowance for the healthcare costs. By doing that, if I increase taxes, I have to reduce something else. And I reduced the sale of property.
But, so this is still a budget that is balanced on a potential sale of a building.
Correct.
And the county will accept a balanced budget with a potential sale of a building, even though we have not made progress on that, and even though you just recently in this meeting said you still won't approve the sale of the maintenance building, which is the one that we're closest to, until we have a clearer
Well,
plan.
the county is hoping that the district will increase taxes and not include the sale of the building.
So, okay, so and that's what I'm trying to get at. So they're going to accept this proposed budget with an imaginary sale of a building that we have not made progress on and that you yourself seem to not even want us to do right now with the maintenance building because we don't have a plan to your specifications. But what we actually need to do by whatever the public hearing is actually just raise $11 million in taxes. Is
Right.
that the bottom
There's going to be
line?
an application that's going to be online within the next week to ask for this tax incentive aid.
We also have to keep in mind, there's so many other districts that are relying on a potential sale of building. You gotta remember, everything in this budget is anticipated revenue. Nothing is, maybe some of it's etched in stone, but you don't know what federal funding is gonna do next year. So everything's anticipated. You anticipate you don't know what your preschool aid totally is. You don't know what this is gonna be. You don't know what that's gonna be. And so, look at Middletown, look at Toms River, Brick. I don't know how many other school districts, are anticipating a sale of a building to help themselves.
My bigger concern is not, do we theoretically want to balance a budget on the potential sale? My actual question is the county actually going to accept a balanced budget with the potential sale of a building? Or are they going to come back in another week or two and tell us, actually, we're not going to accept this and we need you to raise $11 million in taxes?
They're going to come back with recommended changes to the budget. They always do have some recommended changes. And probably one of the recommended changes is going to be take out the 11 something for the sale of the building and increase taxes.
When is our budget due, our final budget to the county that we're gonna actually have to work off of for next year? When is that due?
Well, the public hearing is
First
set
week in
for April
April?
24th.
Oh,
But Ivy, what's the last date for a public
it's
hearing?
the first week in May, isn't it? Yeah, first week in May sometime.
David, you already told me that the county made it clear to you that they will not accept prospective sale proceeds to be included in our budget.
Third, let's say we did submit a budget with
No, I get that.
$11 million.
Yeah, no, I get that. My point is, today is the end of March. We've got April, right? This is Asbury Park. Real estate is very, very profitable here, right? So we've got 2 to 3 weeks to even get close to a sale.
But also, we just heard that the county doesn't want us to sell the buildings. That was for the first time. I've never heard that before.
Yeah, but they don't have, and where is that authority? Also,
So now you sell the building, that will go into free balance, and then that's used for the 26-27 budget.
They're choking off.
Why?
if we got $20 million tomorrow from a developer who just wrote us a check, the county is saying we couldn't apply that to our 24-25 budget?
I think we have to talk about numbers in closed session.
No,
That's a hypothetical.
Okay.
So hypothetically, tomorrow, a wealthy benefactor shows up for Asbury Park and says, here's a check for $20 million, I'm gonna take Thurgood Marshall off your hands,
If you sold the building and had the actual sale and closing take place,
right?
well, you wouldn't be able to do it in time for, you have to set a tax rate.
Right, but I'm saying if we had the money in hand tomorrow, could we count it towards this?
If
saying we
it's
can't
prior
count it?
to the submittal, so that the county can set the tax rate, then yes, you could do that.
Do you know how many districts are gonna have like a really hard time if you can't use anticipated revenue?
I don't know if it's every district that they're telling this to. Is it? Are they telling them to
No, I
Middletown,
doubt
or are
it.
they just telling
No,
them
I
to
think
us?
it's just us. It's us. I think Asbury Park, they have an agenda.
So what's our recourse?
I can't hear you.
What's our recourse? Because I'm just saying this, Mr. Shafter, I don't support raising our taxes by however much over the 2% this is coming out to be. It's $28 million that
Well,
we're being told we have to do.
You can privatize security, you can privatize, these are your choices.
But those aren't,
Privatize-
that's not gonna get us $28 million. So my point is, what's our recourse with going back to the county to
You don't need
say?
$28 million.
No, we only need 11.
$11
Okay, I feel better now.
But privatizing custodian, privatizing security will not get you there.
Right.
Even if you laid off teachers, which I don't know how you're going to do that, because you're limited on, the only place you can do that is possibly at the high school, and high school states you can't have a schedule with less teachers. You're between a rock and a hard place. And they're not going to give you a loan if you're not going to raise taxes.
Can I just ask,
But we have raised taxes.
can I just ask a question? No matter what we try, no matter what we do, we're still gonna be overridden anyway. Like, it's gonna be overridden, no matter what we do. Yeah, well, the county's gonna get what the county wants.
Only if the DOE tells me to override.
I understand.
I don't know what they're going to do.
I understand. But knowing from years past, it's gonna happen.
It's unfortunate that
It is.
that they don't allow you to do things that anticipate amount of money. You're going to have it by, let's say you put those 2 buildings up for sale, you're going to have that money within.
My understanding, you can't put both buildings up for sale. You can't put, which 2 buildings are you talking about?
No, let's say maintenance and McNish go up for sale. Let's say probably it takes 6 to 8 months to sell it, and it'll probably go faster than that the way the market is here. They won't even consider that because it won't even be into your next year's budget. Very, very short term, like a few months into the budget, you'll have the money. It's not as if you're going to be overexpending.
The question is how much money?
And we're not even get our taxes yet.
You may be setting reserve prices, but that doesn't mean you're going to receive those reserve prices.
Well, we're going to get more than reserve. In Asbury Park, you get a lot more than reserve. That's the way it is. And we don't even get our property taxes until when? When's the first payment?
You usually get in August.
Ivy, when's your first payment at property taxes? I'm sorry?
Oh, you start paying your property.
No, the city pays, when is the city? No, second week of every month they pay?
No, you get it each quarter. When's the first quarter?
I thought you get it each quarter. You get a monthly check?
You get it monthly.
But what they do in August, they send out a revised. They're going off last year's tax bill. And then in August, they give you the new tax bill. And that's when everybody hates it.
Right, so they pay you monthly, so you're anticipating a monthly income from property taxes. That's my point. You're anticipating money's going to come in on time, pay your bills.
Are there any other questions of me?
I think you've told us enough tonight.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I still don't get this.
Okay.
You're taking money from a fictional number. You're taking money from a fictional number, you're putting it in where we are committing now to raise taxes, because if we don't,
You may not be able to use, in order to use the tax incentive program, even if it's just for a few $1 million, you have to use all of your capital that you can, all of your, not bank cap, thank you, all the bank cap.
and when you say tax incentive program, that is,
A 5%, if you raise it about,
500 for 11.
right, so I don't care about that incentive. At the very least, we're going to be able to do something, and that's a ridiculous, okay, I don't need to, but I'm not going to vote for this, but now I understand. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Shafter. Right now, we do have some stuff in exec that we need to take care of. So if I can get, move it to go into exec.
First.
Public comment?
Okay, let's do public comment. In accordance with the board policy 0167, the Asbury Park Board of Education recognizes the value of public comment in educational issues and other matters of importance, provides members of the public with the opportunity to express themselves on school matters of community interest. The public comment portion of the meeting is not a question and answer session. All public comments should be directed to the board president and the presiding officer of the meeting. Members of the public who wish to make public comments must recognize by the presiding officer, provide his or her name, municipality of residence, and group affiliation. If applicable, all public comments shall be directed to the presiding officer and limited to 3 minutes in duration. Members of the public who do not follow the foregoing rules or interfere with the orderly operation of the board meeting may be removed from the meeting. Thank you. Roll call. Any member of the public wishing to make comments, please come on up.
Good evening. John Napolitani, President of the Asbury Park Education Association. I have to say, this meeting is absolutely draining. I don't know how you do it every month. I've heard so much back and forth. I wanted to get up here and compliment the central office staff and my building administrators who have since left on the fact that 18 months ago, you didn't have buildings like you do right now. You see the attendance rates up of the staff. There's a reason why the attendance rates are up. People actually want to come to work and work for these building administrators. From Medina to Montcourt to Del Orbe to Schultz. And we've had a great working relationship together. And I want to thank them, and I want to thank this central office for putting in place something that finally works for the staff. There were a few things mentioned tonight. I don't want to really get into it because unfortunately, when looking at these budget numbers, there are certain members of this Board of Education that have been up here for years, and you knew this was coming. And I've said this for years. You needed to pass that tax increase over a period of time. Well, it's time to pay the piper. And you can't constantly blame the staff that are out here looking at cutting teachers. I don't know where you're going to cut teachers. It's almost impossible, considering you don't have enough programs in the high school. And two, your staff will attest to that work in that building day in and day out. You want to look at your custodians, they were here before. They came in on their dinner break. Because everybody knows you're thinking about getting rid of those guys. They're your members of this community that live in this town, that clean these buildings. And if there's an issue with that staff, then they need to be managed. They need to know what's going on. Why are they being considered for privatization? I wasn't going to say a word about this tonight. I wanted to see some stuff play out. But to even think about privatizing that group back there, who came out here in support of each other, is absolutely disgusting, and I think it's short-sighted to even consider it, along with my security officers, who also live in town. So these are things you strongly need to consider. This acting superintendent put up a plan here. I was actually amazed at what was put together. We're food for thought. I deal with a budget every year. You know who I am and what I do in the town next door. The last thing I would ever want to do is privatize a unit or get rid of any of my workers that work for me. Thank you for hearing me out.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we can close public portion. Can I get to go into exec?
Executive session.
Second.
Roll call.
Ms.
Yes.
Ackerman? Ms. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. LaRocca? Yes. Ms. Lisinski?
Yes.
Dr. Penna?
Yes.
Ms. Riggs?
Yes.
Ms. Glassman?
Yes.
Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Thank you.
Members of the public, the board's going to retire to close executive session. The reason for the closed executive session is to receive attorney-client advice, to discuss pending or ongoing anticipated litigation, as well as personnel matters. It's anticipated that the board will be in executive session for approximately 40 minutes. The board will not take any formal action in executive session. Any formal action that the board takes will be taken out here in the public view in public session. Thank you.
I know, I just got to show.
I'll take roll call. They made a motion to come back from exec. Ms. Ackerman? Here. Ms. Clark?
Here.
Mr. Grillo?
Here.
Mr. LaRocca? Here. Ms. Lozinski? Here. Dr. Penna?
Here.
Ms. Riggs? Here. Ms. Glassman? Mr. Rogers?
Here. We're gonna do the committee reports and then review the agenda. I'll start with the athletic committee. I know we were scheduled to meet. I was actually at a state budget hearing, so I couldn't convene, so I don't think much went on. But Ms. Ackerman did get a picture to the group on the Nas Reed mural. Please, everyone, look at it. If you have any questions to question get it to the athletic committee, myself, and we'll talk about it before we put it onto the agenda for next month, because I think we have to approve something if we're going to get it done and for him to be involved. The other is the buildings and grounds.
Can I think somebody raised that there's going to be an issue with copyright, so I think we can go back right now.
Yeah.
With regard to the representative and
get
let
it to
them
us
know.
immediately so
Yeah,
we can
go
get it
back,
to them.
or else we're out of luck there.
Buildings and grounds. We do have on buildings and grounds a use of facilities waive request for GSE Worldwide Asbury Park for the athletic field for Bernie Williams Camp for 3/28 at the high school. Right now, Mr. Williams is coming to give us, and basically we're not paying for custodians. Most of the stuff is going on during the day, but they are requesting a $150 fee for just the field. We also talk about the sale of the maintenance building, and that's going to be discussed tonight as a proposal for the actual number that we're looking to do, and also the McNish building. The tenants initiative, our lawyer will reach out to their lawyer that the parcel is going to be moved.
I'll give you an update on that, actually, just because I don't want to give old news as new news has come out today. I've been in touch with the Asbury Park Tennis Initiative's attorney. The construction has stopped for a moment, but we hope to meet with them. And when I say we, the we is the administration and the tennis initiative, and perhaps their attorney with myself as well, to walk the site so that we're all in agreement on where the new location is. And it's also been my recommendation that we have someone from the city, if possible, walk with us so that we are aware of any sight lines or setbacks or anything else that the city may have an issue with. So it's funny, as you were saying this, Mr. Rogers, I turned to Mr. Gerbino and I told him that he and I will have to talk this week so that we can make arrangements to get everything back on track with the tennis initiative. And I'm happy to say it appears that they're working with us, or at least that's been my opinion of my conversation and communications with their attorney. So hopefully we'll have something else to report at the next meeting, but I am pleased with my conversation with the attorney from the initiative.
I have a question. In your conversation with the attorney, did you review the conditions that were specified in the letter to them, and are they agreeing to comply?
Yes, so the board is aware, I did issue a cease and desist letter to them last week because it was brought to my attention that certain items such as insurance certificates for subcontractors and contractors were not provided, as well as some other things, in addition to detailed scheduling of the construction project. So I did go over that. I pointed out line by line from the agreement to the attorney, each of the items that we're still, in need of. She may have emailed me since then, but I've been in court literally all day. I did tell her that I would address this issue with the board tonight. I am satisfied that things will be in place and that all of the requirements and obligations that the Asbury Park Tennis Initiative has pursuant to the agreement with the board, I am encouraged that they will comply with those items and that we will be able to get the project back on track, hopefully as soon as next week.
And again, just not to have to revisit this again, that they will not enter the premises without advance notice and agreement of the administration?
Under the agreement that we have with them, they are to work with us on scheduling. So it's my expectation that the agreement will be fully complied with, both from their side and our side.
Okay, thank you. And the last on the building and grounds is we talked about trees for the school grant. And we're also talking, the last item is trees for the school. The state has put out grants and our grant person is working on submitting this, and it is due by May 14th. That's all for buildings and grounds. Curriculum.
Hi, everyone. I was not present at the curriculum committee meeting, but I did look over the agenda items and very exciting things that we have happening as usual, and they are on the agenda this evening.
Finance.
So most of the things that were discussed at the Finance Committee were discussed here tonight. Again, we did some deep dives into the budget process, where the changes were being made, what our expectations were moving forward. We also discussed the IT center again and asked for a proper business plan and profit and loss statement to be presented, which has not been yet. The consultant that we retained to give us a price for moving the cables or the lines if we want to relocate out of that building. The consultant is coming on Monday and should issue a report.
She came last Monday, and she was waiting.
Okay, then he came on the 24th, and a report should be forthcoming. The other two items that we've now raised are the sale of the maintenance building and the McNish building, and we have recommended to the board minimum prices on each of those sales.
Policy. I'm sorry, any questions? Next is policy.
Policy for this evening is the second reading of Alert 234, which was on for the first reading of the last meeting.
Any questions?
I had a question for policy. I wanted to know, I had mentioned last month about the, what do they call the phone sacks, the Yonder, having a policy and a regulation, because they've already started use of them, and I was concerned about, if an administrator or staff member wants to hold a child responsible for the sack, there is no policy or regulation that's been approved by the board. Because I saw there were some fines or something that could be implemented, so I wanted to know if it would be on next month's agenda.
Ms. Lisinski, there may be a policy that Strauss Esme put out that deals with cell phone usage. But your point with regard to the Yonder pouches, regardless of whether or not there's currently a policy that deals with telephone usage or cell phone usage by students, I do think it would be appropriate for the policy committee to consider the school's use of Yonder pouches and incorporate that into the existing policy. I believe that there's a standard Strauss policy, if I'm not mistaken, that deals with cell phone usage, and it may be best just to incorporate the additional language into that policy. Also, I suspect that to the extent that the governor has already indicated that it's his desire to have phones locked up, I would imagine that Strauss Esme will also put out a policy or update a current policy that reflects the usage of those pouches. So there is a cell phone policy, if I'm not mistaken, but it should be updated to reflect the true state of affairs in the district.
Yes, you are correct. We do have a cell phone policy. It's called electronic something, so you would never find it with a cell phone if you.
That's right, it's properly confused and misnamed.
Any other questions? Next is personnel.
Hi, personnel met Wednesday, March 19th. During this meeting, we discussed the agenda items that are on the agenda tonight. We discussed staff appointment. There's one teacher's aide appointment, fall coach recommendations, athletic ancillary personnel, athletic coach recommendations, a district translator, which is different from a bilingual educator. Leaves of absence, there are some resignations and retirements, including, and I didn't even realize he was here for this long, Craig Matthews, who has been in the district for 48 or 46 years, 48 years. That's a long time. And that was it.
I have a question, not a long one. I was looking at the B3, number 4B, the NC, the ERI per hour diem. It says that there was a 24-25 APEA negotiated agreement in the resolution. I don't know, I know that the negotiated agreement for the APEA contract is $41 for student contact. If that's what you want, I was concerned because I went through it. I don't know if this is based on an individual salary, an hourly rate, but if you figure out 40 minutes, three of these individuals are under the $41 an hour student contract negotiated amount. And I thought that's, so I was curious as to what was negotiated for ERI, because I'm on the negotiation committee and I didn't hear anything about this or see a sidebar agreement.
Okay. So, Ms. Lozinski, it's my understanding this was a level 4 grievance because I believe they wanted to be paid X number of dollars per period, not hourly. So what was happening is they took an hourly rate and then took 40 minutes and they grieved it, and I believe Mark wanted to approve the grievance. So instead of getting 2/3 of their hourly rate, they got a per period rate. And that's I think the court.
You said it was a level 4 grievance?
Yes, but then you settled at level 3 because they were going to go to level 4.
And this is
And the
different
extra
than the
cost-
grievance that they withdrew?
The extra, yeah, they're withdrawing the grievance.
They are now.
I think-
Sorry?
They're withdrawing it now.
think they're withdrawing, and I think the extra cost is a few $1,000s, I think $3,000.
Yeah, but my question is that you're paying a student contact, hourly student contact rate that's more than other union people are getting for student contact, whether it's after school or during school. So they're receiving a benefit that other union people aren't getting. That's going to cause a problem. And some of these individuals are getting less than the $41 when you figure out 40 minutes as a 60-minute an hourly rate.
So they're teaching the extra period. So when they first introduced it in September, it was the per period. But then they weren't teaching 60 minutes, so we changed it to reflect the 40 minutes. But then they grieved it. So now we're back here to the original.
So if it was a negotiated agreement, there should be a sidebar.
Or maybe, I don't know why it says negotiated agreement. It should have just said as per the 24-25. Huh?
Yeah, but I'm still
Yeah,
not
it's just their
understanding.
salary per diem rate, prorated, to reflect.
But if this
per
is
period.
if they're getting a period paid for an extra period, this is something new. I don't know how it wasn't handled, like when teachers take an extra period or they lose their prep, what happens?
They get, it's calculated based on their current salaries. That's how they calculate the extra period that they're working. So if they give up their prep, they take the salary, I'm not sure what the calculation is, but they take the salary and they calculate it to determine what they would get paid if they were working an extra period.
There's no sidebar agreement on the this present contract about that.
So, just listening to what's happened here, this is a weird one in that we have a grievance that was granted at level 3, but the granting of it has impacts as it relates to the collective bargaining agreement. And so, Mr. Gerbino is able to resolve the grievance at his level, which he has done, and my suggestion would be that whatever the terms of that which was agreed upon at level 3 should be put into a document and memorialized as a sidebar agreement, just so that everyone is clear of what happened and it can then be incorporated into the next collective bargaining agreement whenever that is going to be negotiated. That would be my recommendation.
Should we table this until we get the sidebar agreement and take a look at it so we could talk about it? Because it's something the board has to vote on.
Oh, yeah, let's get the agreement.
And then that's what happens.
So we're in this limbo land because it was already agreed. So my recommendation still stands that it be a sidebar. If we know already that we're okay with giving this salary, I don't see a problem with approving it tonight and then following it up with a sidebar that's going to memorialize exactly what was approved tonight. It's putting the,
But my question is, do individuals know they're getting less than the 41?
Yeah, this was done, the union is aware of that.
Or are the individuals that are getting this?
Yes, they're aware of
payment?
that.
They know. But it should be $41. All of them should get the same amount of money, not based on their
No, it's not.
salary, their daily salary.
It's based on their salary. That's how you calculate, when you work an extra period, it's based off your salary. It's not like an after-school program. It's an extra period. You're working an extra period, so they base that off what your salary is. So if I make only $10,000, well, my extra money is not going to be much. As someone who's making $30,000, they're going to get paid more because it's based off their salary. Otherwise, the after-school programs, that's different. That's out of contracted time.
I'd like to see the sidebar agreement, though, before I vote, so don't be offended if I abstain,
Received.
because the board didn't vote on this.
But we will have a sidebar agreement, voting it, and then just, we'll memorialize it in writing. That
Okay, any more questions? That started the review of the regular meeting agenda.
I just have one thing going back to athletics. I don't see the certificate of insurance for Bernie Williams. I think that was the only open item. We were supposed to get that before we could approve it. We've got his facilities use form, but there's no COI in there.
I believe, yeah, I believe, I was sitting in the room when she told me she had got it, so it's probably gonna be in her email.
I'm just asking, Ivy, did you receive a COI from them? I think we did, but he has my computer on. Okay, all right. As long as that's there, that was the only outstanding item.
Check first.
Yeah.
I don't wanna-
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they sent everything in.
I have one change on the agenda. It's item 13, page B.5. And we're at page B5, item 13. Going to add a sentence, contract price based on MOS contract award. Contract price is based on MOS contract award. We're just adding that one sentence.
I had a question, Mr. Shafter, about that. We're already paying them for 3 months. It says one of them's through March 18th. The children are already taking these courses?
To that. I think Mr. Ruiz does.
It came up in the curriculum attachments. We don't get all the attachments on our, but there was several that were already in process, I guess probably for the last 3 months, that were done March 18th.
There were some students that have been taking virtual, New Jersey Virtual School throughout the school year. We started early using it. We needed extra funds so we could continue with some of the classes that needed, some of the students that needed extra support. So that's what you're seeing reflected here.
I don't remember approving any virtual, New Jersey Virtual School this year so far. Did we?
But I don't remember, my memory doesn't go like that, so unless we look it up, I can't tell you. That requires a level.
That was only a question. I mean, if they've taken it, we have to pay it, but I
don't have an answer for that specific question of when it was approved. It could have been approved in the summer, because we generally would do an approval in the summer from OS, but
Yes.
without having the ability to look it up, I can't tell you. I'm pretty sure we did, but I don't know.
We hold discussion for a minute while you change the tape. Oh, you, okay.
We did get the certificate of insurance, Ms. Ackerman. Sorry. We did get it the day after the special board meeting.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Any more questions? Okay, let's get to the acceptance of minutes.
I'll make a motion for all the minutes on A2, number 12.
Second.
Roll call. Oh. Questions, discussion? I'm so out of it now.
Seeing there's none, Ms. Ackerman?
Yes.
Ms. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Grillo?
Yes.
Mr. LaRocca?
Yes.
Ms. Lozinski?
Yes.
Dr. Penna?
Yes.
Ms. Riggs?
Abstaining on the January 23rd executive session minutes, and also abstaining on the February 27th executive session minutes. All other minutes Yes.
Ms. Glassman? Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Thank you.
The superintendent had something to read.
Yeah, we have the annual job fair at Asbury Park High School coming up. In cooperation with the city of Asbury Park and our community partners, Asbury Park High School will continue the tradition of holding its annual job fair for APHS students on April 23rd, 2025. This event will take place from 10:45 till 12 p.m. It will take place in the Asbury Park Gymnasium. Local businesses will inquire with Ms. Estrada as well as Nate McAllister, Communications Manager for the City of Asbury Park, to participate. Past participants will be asked to join again as well. The event has proven to be successful for our students, the City of Asbury Park, which recruits our students for summer employment, and our community partners. Looking forward to a positive afternoon and the visit from our Deputy Mayor, Amy Quinn.
Thank you. On to the agenda.
Sorry, is that just in addition to the agenda? Are we to vote on that, or it's just an announcement?
No, that's just an announcement.
Okay,
Just so everybody's aware of that. Yep. And that just happened yesterday, and so that's why it's brought up. Okay, can I have a consent agenda for B1?
Do you want to do the district calendar?
Oh, sorry.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the district calendar A2, number 13.
Move it.
Roll call.
Ms. Ackerman?
Yes.
Ms. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Grillo?
Yes.
Mr. LaRocca? Yes. Ms. Lisinski?
Yes.
Dr. Penna?
Yep.
Ms. Riggs?
Yes.
Ms. Glassman?
Yes.
Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, can we have a consent agenda for B1 through B6?
Any questions? Second.
I just had one question on B4 number 8. We're approving this because it's not included in the contract, I'm assuming. I don't remember approving a mentor for a director, but I may be mistaken.
Yes, that's in their contract now.
I'm sorry, it's in our
Yes,
contract
yes.
for this year? Okay.
No other questions? Roll call.
Ms. Ackerman?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Mr. Grillo?
Yes on everything. I'm abstaining on B3, 4, B.
B3, 4,
B3, like as in boy, B3, 4, B.
Mr. LaRocca?
Yes.
Ms. Lisinski?
Yes on everything except B3 for B and C, and number 17 on B6. I abstain.
B what, 6, 17?
Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Penna?
Yes on all.
Ms. Riggs?
Did you hear me?
All I heard was recusing.
I'm recusing myself from anything that have to do with awards, and I'm also abstaining on number 17B6.
Yes to everything?
Yes.
Ms. Glassman?
Yes.
Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Thank you. Consent agenda from C1 to C3.
Any questions? Move it.
Who second?
Second.
Ms. Ackerman?
This is C1 through
C3.
Yes.
Ms. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Grillo?
Yes, except any payments to College Achieve and also any payments to utilities.
Mr. LaRocca?
Yes.
Ms. Lisinski?
No on the bills and claims for any consultants. I'm going to also vote no on the facilities use waiver, number 7.
Dr. Penna?
Yes on everything except payments to College Achieve.
Ms. Ricks?
Your turn.
Okay, I am voting no on C3, number 7, use of facilities. I'm also voting no on all consultants that's listed.
Ms. Glassman?
Yes as to all, except no for college.
Mr. Rogers?
No on College Achieve, and yes on everything else.
Thank you. Good one, Neil.
Mr. Rogers, if I may, read the resolutions from executive session?
Yes, Ms. Lisinski.
The board approves the minimum bid for 916, 920 Second Avenue, the maintenance, otherwise known as the maintenance building, for $3.3 million. The board also approves a minimum bid for the Dorothy McNish Center, 300 Prospect Avenue, of $650,000.
Any questions?
My only suggestion would be, to the extent that anyone believes they're going to vote no, since their two properties are together in the same motion, if you could just kind of give us some heads up, if you will, otherwise we'll split it into two separate motions.
Would it be better for your purposes, Mr. Weiss, if we separated?
It doesn't matter, it's, I would prefer it, but it's not a requirement at all.
I can restate it.
Oh, thank you.
Please do.
So Ms. Lisinski was looking to see if anyone would like to first and second a motion for the sale of the property that's known as the maintenance building, 912-9.
916, 920.
916-920 Second Avenue with a minimum bid price of $3.3 million.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Discussion?
Motion to set selling price minimum of 3.3 for the maintenance building. Ms. Ackerman?
Yes.
Ms. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Grillo?
Yes.
Mr. LaRocca?
Yes.
Ms. Lisinski?
Yes.
Dr. Penna?
Yes.
Ms. Ricks?
Yes.
Ms. Glassman?
Yes.
And Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Thank you.
And I think that Ms. Lisinski was also looking for a motion to set the minimum bid for the sale of the Dorothy McNish Parent Center building, which is located at 300 Prospect Street, with a minimum bid of $650,000.
Make the motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Move it. Roll call.
Ms. Ackerman?
Yes.
Ms. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Grillo?
Yes.
Mr. LaRocca?
Yes.
Ms. Lisinski?
Yes.
Dr. Penna?
Yes.
Ms. Ricks?
Yes.
Ms. Glassman?
Yeah.
Mr. Rogers?
Yes. Any more motions?
The motion for the,
Second.
All in favor?
motion for the addendum.
Oh, the addendum.
Never mind.
What?
Somebody needs to withdraw that motion.
Uh-oh.
I didn't even hear
I'll
it.
withdraw the motion to adjourn.
There's an addendum.
Oh, there's an addendum? Oh, yes, there's an addendum. Oh.
The addendum.
Move to withdraw it.
Any discussion? We need a motion. Do we have a motion?
I said, I moved.
Oh, second.
Oh, withdraw the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Wait, that was the motion to withdraw.
Yeah.
The motion to leave. Hold on.
Now we're back. Welcome back.
It's like that scene.
Somebody has to make a motion to approve whatever it is that they're looking to have approved or not.
I don't know if you.
Motion to approve an addendum to the
The
budget.
addendum items to the budget.
Oh, that's.
Make a motion to approve the addendum.
Is there a second?
Second. Move.
Questions, discussion? Any questions?
Discussion?
So we're voting on presenting this draft budget to the county with further discussion to be held prior to our final budget approval in April.
Yes.
Second,
I just had one comment. We don't know what the impact is on the tax rate to each homeowner yet. We haven't had that financial information, just so everybody knows.
yeah, I mean, I think I would second it with the caveat that there's a myriad of questions that we need to have answered and discussions to be had as discussed at various points tonight. So I would second the motion with the understanding this is a draft budget that we're presenting with the caveat that we will have multiple more discussions about it and this is not our final budget.
Michael?
And also to say that we've had many discussions. We're trying our best, but it's going to get thrown back on us by the county at some point, just so everybody knows. Unfortunately.
Roll call?
It's the motion to approve the
Addendum.
budget addendum as
As a
submitted by
draft.
the state monitor.
As a draft, it is not the final. It is a tentative. It's a tentative budget to submit to the county. And I have Mr. Grillo first and Mr. Rogers second.
Yes.
Ms. Ackerman?
No.
Ms. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Grillo?
Yes.
Mr. LaRocca?
No.
Ms. Lisinski?
No.
Dr. Penna?
No.
Ms. Ricks?
No.
Ms. Glassman?
Yes.
Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Taking this under advisement.
I take that under advisement. Got it.
Motion
I'm
to
taking
adjourn.
this, they know, they heard me.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Done.
Aye.
I'll be home. Yeah, hell, everybody, but get home by
Joe.